Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The action heats up again in Sweden, and it's all under Yggdrasil, waiting to see who moves through to the Longhouse. That is game one done. We had Damwon Gaming, Kia defeating Sandbox. The Korean squad is done, but 3 more games await. Let's get started. Let's introduce our teams. Team 1 versus Rogue. From Brazil, representing the LATAM region, the defending major champions, it's Team 1!
Perhaps the most competitive team in the world right now. You have, as Milos said, the defending major champions coming out of Mexico. 2nd place in BR6, 2nd place in Copa Elite 6. These boys have been playing fantastic Siege right throughout the group stage, and expectations to go deep into this tournament.
Expectations are high, but their opponents are looking to stop them right here. Four Germans and an Englishman. Representing EU League, it is Rogue!
The lowest placed team coming out of the EU region, 8th overall. Rogue avoided relegation, they've pushed through, they've made the major, and they absolutely rocked it through group stages, winning every game so far to be the first team through. Unfortunately losing out on the final day, but they're in for a hell of a fight here.
We could still consider them a fully German squad. Of course, 4 Germans, they have 1 English player and English coach, mayhaps Dutch mental coach.
2 English coaches, Kafe as well.
Well, what did the runes say, ladies and gentlemen? Our predictions! Welcome back to our Viking Longhouse. The rules again, we roll the runes, and they never lie. Who's up first wins it all. Fresh? Let's take a look. Rogue versus Team 1, and the runes predict Rogue.
I'm actually going to disagree. Team 1 are the reigning major champions. Rogue have looked shaky throughout group stages. They limped through, and I just don't see them beating Team 1. Team 1 are on another level.
Fresh, my life is very simple. I believe in EU supremacy no matter what, and I think Rogue are going to take it. Leon's here, he's got a cat back home, and let's be honest, when you have a cat, you can't disappoint your cat. And that's something I'm going to rely on in this one. I disagree with you, Fresh.
You're saying the runes are true?
They are true. So, ladies and gentlemen, how about we see how it all goes down in game? It's quarterfinals, it's Rogue T1. Enjoy.
Like, we're gonna play against Rogue, so I think they are a good team. Like, they did well in the group stage. So what I can say, it's gonna be a good match, I think. So Europe against Brazilian team, it's always great match.
To Team 1, I'd say get ready. I think they're gonna be in for a surprise.
They shouldn't be afraid of every single player in our team, because everyone individually saying is really good. Really good mechanical skill, so they need to be ready for us.
As a team, I don't think Rogue has any weak points.
So a message to Rogue is that they're gonna need to have to be ready for a lot of screams, you know, a lot of energy for us. So they need to be ready from the other side. We're gonna really want to win, so we're gonna scream a lot and do a lot of things to get hyped, you know, in the main stage.
To Alamal, it's game on.
Our second quarterfinal is about to begin. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 6th Major Sweden. We are live from Gävle, and I'm so happy that we get to talk about these two squads in LATAM EU Classic. And this time, it's Team One, the defending major champions, up against Rogue. How about we talk then about our rosters? First up is Team One, representatives from LATAM and from Brazil specifically. They have gotten second in Copa Elite, which is the entirety of LATAM, and are defending their title here fresh.
And first out of groups as well. When we was in Mexico, they had a very difficult group stage. You'll remember they played the tiebreaker match. They very nearly didn't even make the playoffs in Mexico, but they went on to win it. And these boys have played fantastic Siege. They've got a 7-map pool. There's a couple of maps we haven't seen out of them in a while, but one thing that I love about this team is how well they attack. And it's the same about both of these teams, but you'll see there big attacking or big round scorelines. +5, +4, +6, +6. When they beat their opponents, they absolutely slap them. When they lose, it's only by a couple of rounds, so they're competitive in literally every map they play.
And they lost to Vitality 2 rounds and 3 rounds. The team that got knocked out alongside Dark Zero, of course,
they did
in their group and lost to them. So that's quite impressive for Vitality to pull off too.
Yeah, they did, and the Vitality game, particularly on Chalet, Team One were like 5-1 up, and Vitality pulled 6 rounds back in a row. And I know Chalet, when you see the graphic, actually has a really low defender win rate. It's purely because of that match, because there was only 1 defense won in the whole entire map.
And their opponents, of course, one of the best teams in EUL right now. It's odd to say that after watching Stage 2 and how it unfolded, but in Stage 3, Kini, Rogue looked so comfortable. It's like a reformed squad.
Yeah, I mean, we got a completely new Rogue that doesn't choke immediately the moment they go to land. With that said, if Group D was the group of death, then I think that Group A was the complete opposite. They didn't really have that tough of a group. They had Chiefs, coming in, haven't played land before, and then you obviously have Oxygen, had to play with a coach and 2 players in the hotel. So I'm not super sold on Rogue's success yet, but I'm always open to be proven wrong.
And I think the biggest evolution that Rogue have had coming into Stage 3 and today is having Mipi as the coach really more involved, and Bernadette, their mental coach, coming in from the LEC as well, helping them out. So we can see that impact of positivity on the players, how they're fist bumping the cameras. So how are their mental be like the first time on stage in forever?
I think especially when you're taking into consideration that they're up against a LATAM team, they're up against Team One, a team that usually has an extremely strong mental. If they're gonna start and take over the game, they're going to run it down completely. And I think especially Rogue, I think if they start losing, they're really gonna start losing that mental game especially. So we'll have to see how they handle Team One.
Yeah, and I think it was Alamo who talked about it, I think, in the video at the start, about just how loud LATAM teams can be. And having experienced this, when I was in sports staff myself, you go against LATAM teams, they scream the place down at the end of every round. So none of this fist bumping cameras. LATAM are screaming, they are intimidating, they are hard to play against. And that becomes a slight issue for your Rogue, because as much as we love Leon, and he is our UK brethren, we know he's got tilt factor. We know Prano's got tilt factor. If things start going the wrong way, and they've got 5 Latin American boys screaming at them from the other side of the room, we don't know how Rogue will react. I think that's the difficulty.
This is not just difficulty, but this is more like the real test for Rogue, like you were saying. It's really when you get to see, has all of that theory actually paid off on stage? Which maps will we be playing in this series? Again, these are all best of 3s in the quarters and the semis in the tournament till we hit our grand final with 5 maps. Ban, pick, ban, and then Decider is our 7th map. Mipi, by the way, looking sharp. The first ever time a coach is well dressed, all nice and standy on it. Kafe is up first, Oregon, and then Chalet. Kini, overall, your thoughts on the picks?
Really interesting, to be honest. I think that the maps that they've chosen kind of play into well to what both teams want to do. All of these maps are really going to rely heavily on if you're starting out well, if you can establish that mental fortitude against the other team.
Yeah, and a quick one from me is that we're seeing Rogue pick Kafe, which is their favourite map, pretty much this event. Team 1 don't like Kafe, so it's another one where we're seeing teams go for maps that the other team doesn't like. For example, Rogue, they highly dislike Oregon. That's the first place Team 1 go to. Should we get to the final, we're going to Chalet, and that's the #1 preference map for both teams. So it's very well placed in terms of the map pool.
All right, let's focus in on Kafe Dostoyevsky for just a moment here. Overall thoughts on strategies that could be pulled, because we've kind of started to settle in on Kafe and how it goes now.
I want to see both of these teams defend. I'm sure Des is going to talk about this a lot in the cast, is that both teams can attack particularly well, but we're going to one of the biggest defender-sided maps in the pool, and neither of these teams have a particularly good defensive record recently. So whoever starts out on defense really needs to make that count, needs to get 3-4 defenses on the board.
Kafe, how much vertical destruction do we see here? Buck as an operator on Kafe, Sledge that is the highest picked operator right now. Kini, final thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how, especially like Fresh said, how they handle their defenses, because I really think that one team that does really solidify their defenses, or if the attacking team can really break down the people who are defending, I think that's really going to be what decides this map going into Kafe.
Rogue's mentality, how will it fare versus Team 1, the defending major champions? Fresh, Kini, thank you so very much. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to kick off our match. Des and Ace await us for match 2. It's LATAM versus EU, and it's Team 1 versus Rogue. See you in a moment.
Thank you very much, Milos. From what I understand, Hap already stole that one away from me earlier on today, but one thing he can't steal is how incredible this fixture is set to be. We got the LATAM fanboy and Ace himself here, you got the EU shill here as well in me, and we are set up for an absolute screamer of a series, Ace.
I cannot wait for it. I say it all the time. I bounced out of bed, Des. I was ready for this one. Like you say, it's going to be huge. We've got two aggressive teams who, as Fresh said, great on the attack, struggle for the defensive rounds. I've got a feeling there's going to be fireworks here when these two meet. There's going to be opportunities galore and two teams who are more than willing to step in through those doors when they're open, Des.
It's one of those that you and I have done a good amount of study on as well. We've looked into both of these teams and we looked through the map picks and said, oh, Kafe's an interesting one. For Team 1, they've hidden it away for the longest time. In fact, I think they've only played it a handful of times this year. You can count on one hand how many times. And
mostly losses.
Yeah, they beat Furia once. It was 7-5. The losses they did have, one against Furia and one against Team 1, were very dominant defeats. I think across all 3 maps, they got 3 attacking rounds. Here at the Major, their attacking win rate is like 74.5%. They are one of the best attacking teams, but then so are Rogue. Rogue's attacking win rate is 61%, but both teams are below 50% on the defense. Kafe, as we have seen so much throughout Stage 3 around the world, has been a real war for attackers to get even single rounds in some cases. So this is going to be a real test of just how good their attacks are.
It is, and you know, maybe it's not a bad map for them both to start on. You know, we've commented already on Rogue's defenses and that they need a little polish. So coming to a defender-sided map is maybe not a bad idea, because it might just give you that boost that you need, Des, to, you know, improve that defender win rate before you start getting into the likes of Oregon and Chalet maybe further down the line. Looking on the side of Team 1, you know, we've spoken about the attack, the defense, we've spoken about there's a team. Looking at individuals, Alamau going very, very well so far in the tournament. He's a name that, you know, we can't leave off our lips. We have to mention him coming in. Top rated in the 6 Sweden Major to this point, 1.55 rating, I believe, through the group stages. Correct. Coming in there, the closest to him is Prano on the side of Rogue, 1.17. Prano's had a standout tournament. He's been absolutely fantastic. We've seen him doing everything that Rogue needs and more. The one that I want to really watch throughout this game, and everybody at home keep your eye on as well, could be a difference maker, is KDS. Second rated in Stage 3 of the LATAM regular season, Des. He is only rated above Lagonis here, who, as we know, is support and IGL, so we don't expect him to be coming in with the highest rating. Other than that, KDS has been struggling. If he can come out here and show us some of those big performances, put those frags down that we know he's capable of, could be a real difference maker from what we've seen in the groups, where a couple of games were dropped against Vitality, and coming in here now and finding success against the EU teams.
We do want to talk about those bans that have just rifled through. We have seen a number of Wamai bans coming in throughout the competition so far, namely by some teams that really enjoy yeeting a bunch of frag grenades around. Dark Zero jumped to mind as a team that have really enjoyed it several times throughout. And Team 1 here, somewhat hindering themselves by taking it away, given they start on the defensive side. But to me, if nothing else, that screams they're practiced and they're confident in just playing with the Jaeger. It does mean for Rogue, certain areas of the map, looking towards Pixel, for example, will be much easier to clear out. And that being said, Ace, looking in this setup already, you can see the fact that we've got 2 ADSs stacked up down towards the east side of White Corridor. There's nothing protecting the Goyo shield on Pixel. So to me, that's a temporary location for Team 1. They are prepared to fall back and aren't trying to get overconfident given that Wamai ban coming through from them.
Yeah, exactly that. They know that the time is likely to be limited, so, you know, what I like. The thing is, we're attacking onto Reading Room as well, so it is all about falling back here. It's about setting your stall out. Out goes an early nitro there from Lagonis. Not going to catch anybody. There's nobody quite close enough to the building at that point. He's not caught anybody out on the rappel. But as you said, it's going to be initially holding a high line for Team 1 here, which is what we see them starting to do. But as you say, I don't think they'll come under too much pressure before they drop back, before they move over to Cocktail side. And ultimately, that's going to be the stronghold. That's where they really need to keep hold of for as long as possible is Cocktail. It's directly above that default plant spot. And Rogue, they're going to want to get Leon in there. They're going to want to get Cryin in there to open things up. So Team 1, you can give up Pixel. That's absolutely fine. You're going to need to hold on to Cocktail, I'd say, for at least 2 minutes.
You can see how they're all spread out here as well, where for Rogue, they've got 2 or 3 different angles on the go at once. 2 holding out towards red, 1 pushing on the east, and 1 looking to contest on white window. So a nice spread here, a multifaceted attack. Shows a little bit of confidence on the side of Rogue. KDS the first one to take some bullets in this matchup, but it's Alamau who strikes first. Alamau versus Aces. It's all coming up Alamau.
It's going to be a big battle as this one progresses. There's no two ways about that. Both influential players for their teams. KDS though, Des, I picked him out. I said we needed to see a little bit more from him. He's taken that early death. He's allowed Rogue back into things here, and they level things up at 4-4. Leon's got himself established inside of Cigar now, so the top floor clearance can begin, but they're going to have some work to do. They've got Neskin over there in Cocktail. He's supported by a man playing on Lumber and White Stairs as well, so they need to find some kills here, Rogue, and they could do it doing it soon, Des. 2 minutes almost wasted here.
It's all about the prep at this point. The problem is the prep is entirely across the top floor, and as you've noted, there are still 2 players hanging out upstairs here, 1 in Cocktail, 1 holding behind these ADSs with Levy. Coming up White Stairs, that's unlucky timing. Was coming up to provide support and has eaten a grenade to the chops in the process. So, down to 3 for a momentary second. Leon finding another one across onto Neskin. 2 more coming in. Leon popping off there before 1 comes flying back the other way. Looking pretty good for Rogue. They've got 40 seconds to play with, and they're locking down those flanks with the gridlock tracks.
Lagonis with a really important kill there, Des. Just stepping up onto White Stairs, taking down one of Rogue, but he's a smart player. He's not going to over-engage there. He dips away. He's got the heartbeat scanner. If he gets the chance for a couple of seconds just to feed a bit of information into Levy, and it's now down to those 2. 23 seconds left to go. They need to hold on. Levy is seriously low health there. A little unfortunate for Leon. Flashbang comes back off the side of the hatch. Lagonis finds Leon 2v2. They're doing it, Des. Levy manages to find Rips. It's all up to Prano. The man of the moment shut down by Lagonis. Team 1 take round 1, and it is their advantage.
One of those that you look at, and the positions being taken by Team 1 looked relatively passive for a while, all hanging down in red corridor, whilst it looked for certain that Rogue were going to go for a reading door push, but they transitioned away at the last second, went to the drop into utility, tried pushing down white, but had zero idea what was going on. Slightly with flash grenade also not doing them any massive favours, but a good first round from Team 1. Rogue still showing that on the attacking side they can get those critical kills in the mid-round to make sure they manage to get to the plan.
I've got to give that one to Lagonis. I called it out in the middle of the round. You know, he's one of those players that we look at, doesn't have the most kills, but that is exactly why it doesn't matter, because that's the game that Lagonis plays. He knows everything that's going on. He's got this overview of the game. He's got this overview of the round in his head. And he's just so good at calling them moments. We see him clutching out quite often because he's quite often the last alive, but he just manages the situation so well. And he timed that challenge on White Stairs to perfection, gets his man, and then dips away and just orchestrates the rest of that round between him and Levy. Really well played finish there from those two. Now, Team 1 going to be heading into round 2. It's up to top floor, Des, so pretty similar from them, you would expect. They're probably going to try to hold on to Pixel a little bit more vehemently this time. They drop back as we suggested they probably would do. It wasn't too much of a challenge for Rogue to get into Washroom Piano, for example. This time around, I think Team 1 will try hold on to it a bit more.
Well, you're going to see I don't want to say my favourite strat, but it's definitely up there in one of the ones that I really enjoy seeing. It's likely to be this oNe and Castle hold inside a cigar shop. You see those two operators on the side? There is a very fair shout, along with things like the Mute and a shield in some form, in this case the Goyo, that you're going to see a big cigar shop hold. Looking to waste time, force utility burn out of the attackers. It's all what Siege is about, especially when playing out on these extended holds. But look at this, Rogue completely ignoring what's going off towards the other side and saying, hey, how about a fast push in? They've got themselves inside of red, not carried on their journey up White Stairs, have got off at the second floor and now dipped away.
Heading in towards a potential Roma clash though, Des. I don't know if they're aware, but there is a Team 1 player playing on the mid floor over by pillars at the minute, just holding that position, and it's Levy on the Goyo with the Vector, and we know what this weapon is like. It can absolutely rip through those bullets and through the attackers, Des. Now then, not sure if Rogue have spotted him out or not, but this could be dangerous. They haven't, Des. Rips manages to get the opener onto Lagonis, but it's immediately traded back as Levy just skulking away in the map there, keeps himself under cover. Rogue were obviously confident that they had him picked up. They thought that that stage 1 clearance was done and that they were coming in and able to start looking for the site, but absolutely not. Rips, however, finding himself a second off the rappel.
In both rounds so far, we've seen the entry kill come in, and within a second or two later, the kill is traded back elsewhere on the map. So it's not what we consider a trade. A trade is normally where within 5 seconds of someone getting a kill, they are then traded out by the losing side and they get a kill back. Therefore, it ends up being a 1-for-1. Here, it's split around the map. Rogue being caught out there by a little bit of lazy droning.
Exactly that. They need to make sure that they're not missing those corners as they go on, because Team 1 will punish them. Prano just sending in the nade there, trying to apply some pressure towards Cocktail.
So weird.
Like you say, there's just absolutely no attention to Piano. Neskin gets an important kill onto Rips, but once again, KDS shut down with little impact in the round. Prano's got an opportunity to do what he's done all stage, Des. He's getting that diffuser down. Rogue, we know on the attack, very objective focus, but here comes Levy. He gets one. Can he find two? He makes the challenge, but does not find the man with the pre-fire. Prano now left to sit right smack bang on top of that diffuser. Beautiful nitro, takes Leon down to a fraction. Finished off by Levy. It's all up to Prano, Des. He's 1 versus 2.
Oh, he's got one. 1 versus 1 for Prano. Got so many plants down in this competition so far, and now has got to clutch out a 1v1. It's him versus Levy, the flanker of Hell, who has done so much damage in this round already. Up comes Prano. Levy, pros don't fake. Is he going to come off? Yes, he is. Does he go for the gunfight? And he's got the kill. It's a quad in the round, and he gets the defuse. Rogue for the second round in a row. Sorry, gets so close, but yet so far.
Levy, take a bow. The nerve, Des, the nerve of the man, the audacity to come off that diffuser with only about 12 seconds to go. Finds his kill and has a second to spare. Des, this is in a major quarter-final that Levy was willing to come off that diffuser with about 12 seconds to go.
It's a miraculous
unreal.
Okay. I mean, the sheer fact that he was left alone in Hell or Cave or whatever you may choose to call it at home itself was a small mistake. To then ignore him and not look to drone him out is a risk that Rogue opted to take. They thought, hey, we can ignore what's going on out towards Red Stairs, out towards that side of the map by going up White. They didn't have a flank drone down, apparently, to catch him on the run through. And that's the kind of thing that will come back to haunt Rogue ever so slightly. What does get me a little bit is they still had 2 drones in back pocket as well. They had 3 of them all grouped together. There is no real reason as to why a drone couldn't be tossed out, even if it's not facing the right way. If it gets shot out, you know that he's coming. Small things like that are what are going to cost you rounds, and Levy has just reminded them, you cannot ignore roamers.
The top and bottom of that round, Des, is fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on Rogue. because that is exactly what Levy has done there. He's hidden himself away, he's got a freebie, and then he's been allowed to flank up white stairs and continue to hurt them, continue to dictate the round. So very well played there from Levy, from Team One. What a finish, Des. These are the fireworks that we promised, and we're only 2 rounds in.
It's beautiful stuff, and I hope we get to see more and more as these rounds progress. Now we have Team One, having won both reading and upstairs in bar and cocktail, heading down into the kitchen. And if we thought that Rogue had problems in the roam clear and getting quite pacey throughout rounds already, this one is guaranteed to be the worst. Unless Rogue opt to go for a direct-to-site push, they've got to go for a full map clear. Make sure the 3rd floor is clear. Make sure the 2nd floor is clear. And only then can you start taking a look at what's going on inside of kitchen itself. And already Team One have proven they can get up in the grills of Rogue and start shutting them down early into the round. Of course, a couple of firefights have led to trades, both opening kills so far, coming around that 60-second mark or so into the round. Here, looks like it's going to be a push inside of Bakery. They've got Leon outside to one side of it, Prano on the other. That looks like to be exactly where their push is coming from.
Looking like Rogue not too concerned about those top 2 floors, and to be honest, there's no reason to be necessarily, because Team One are completely holed up on the ground floor. They don't have any roamers out in the map at the moment. We will keep an eye and see if anybody rotates, but for the time being, it looks like they're trying to hold down, particularly inside of main door and court check. We've got Neskin in there now, and he's trying to hold them off. He's got a cam on him, Des. They've not spotted the black eye cam outside of the main door. That's going to be an opener for Levy onto Leon. They know where they are, Des. Every single one of them. This information is just being fed in, and they are absolutely just utilising this Valkyrie cam for all it is worth. 5 versus 1, halfway into the round. Rogue, you're going to have to shape up.
And 3 rounds in, Levy is 8-0. Could find himself on 9 if this one carries on. The most painful part is that you saw the IQ being brought along by Leon, but he was on completely the wrong side of the map to stop this Valkyrie camera being put to use. And Prano knows the 1 versus 5 is a basically impossible task against Team One. So why not use this as kind of a unofficial tack pause? Have a conversation, because 3 rounds have now gone against them. 3 times they've been stung by what feels like silly little mistakes, and they need to get things back on track. Otherwise, Kafe remains highly defensive, and, well, the attacking rate will fall drastically for the side of Rogue.
Alamau just shouting some greetings or something over to the side of Rogue there. I mean,
his pink shorts.
We know that Alamau likes the banter between the teams.
I agree.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. He gets on the timeline, he mixes it up a little bit. It's all part of the sportsmanship, and the thing is, when you've had you lose a couple of rounds, it's not the end of the world. When you've lost them the way that Rogue have with those mistakes, Alamau piling on with the shouting and the rest of Team One, it's not going to help. And Rogue are going to have to show that they're mentally strong here and that they can bounce back from this, because right now, Team One, they look happy, they're smiling, they're laughing, and they are a dangerous team when they get like this. We've seen them like this before.
For Rogue, it's one of those that I look at, and you saw it on the replay there for a second, and I believe they're taking a bit of a time out here anyway, because they already know things are falling apart fast. Look at the kills that Levy got. 2 of them coming in onto Bakery door in a 1 versus 1. There was no double-sided swing, for example. Then very comfortably swings into Wedding or Small Bakery and gets another kill onto the window. They were just constant 1v1s being taken, and where Rogue have really prided themselves in Stage 3 of EUL on being successful is their executes, is their team play, is pushing at the same time. And right now, it's simply not there. Meepy having a couple of words. I'm
sure he's serious at the minute, isn't
it?
it?
Yeah, you know that kind of look when you've got your hand on your hip and you're like, right, boys,
yeah.
We're having a conversation now.
Absolutely. I mean, he's dressed for the occasion.
Oh,
Love to see it from Meepy. He's brought the style today. That much is for sure. I'm sure they're going to be hoping that they can bring some style in the server as well here, Rogue. It's been a struggle for them on the first 3 rounds. And if anything, Des, we might have expected a little bit of strength on the attack. It's where we've seen Rogue flourish through EUL Stage 3. Right now, Team One, they're going to take us in round 4 to Mining Room. It's the 4th round, the 4th different site. I'm not going to get carried away. We know that Mining Room is, it's a more seen site now. What I don't want to see from Team One is any overconfidence. You've got 3 good rounds there. You could rinse and repeat that rotation. You know, they're going in, they're trying to put Mining into the rotation now as well. If they give Rogue this round, it could well be a point where it's a foothold for them. So let's see what they can bring to the site before I get carried away.
Yeah.
But I hope they don't throw this one away. They need to keep the gas on. They need to just keep going at Rogue now.
There's already quite a change coming in for Rogue since that tactical timeout as well. 3 operators being swapped out. The Buck dropped by Leon for the Twitch. The Flores coming in place of the Maverick for Prano. And you're seeing Aces back onto the Iana. That's what we know him to play for. And sure, you can play Finka. It's very similar. Gone 6, the frag grenades on side. Can often be an independent pusher. Teams tend to use them quite interchangeably. But I think here he's back on his true comfort with the ARX in hand.
And hopefully we're going to see that, Des. Hopefully we're going to see that comfort pay dividends, and it's going to bring kills along with it, because Rogue are so sorely missing those at the moment. Up to the rooftop for the time being. It's going to be once again a top floor clearance, because Team 1, they are set up on that top floor to try and hold the verticals. Interesting, we've got Levy underneath at the minute, Des. He's just on a little bit of a roam game with that Valkyrie again. We saw Furia in the group stages using Valk cams here on Kafe extremely well. We'll see if Levy can do the same.
I think more, they were hoping to find something with the Roteros there, but nothing was discovered, so Prano's now back onto a more regular drone to find out exactly where he needs to commit those last 3 Roteros. You can spend at least half the round on Flores using all of those Roteros out, so it's quite critical that you get them out early, you get them on key targets, whether that's barbed wire, whether it's shields, whatever it might be. The big change for Team 1 is there is no Goyo on side, so you're not going to see an abundance of shields to clear out, just the one that was brought along by Lagonis.
Rogue have dropped into red stairs now. They were also... This is what we said we might see out of Rogue, Des. Spotting an opportunity and going for it. They've rushed into sight. Aces 1, Aces 2, Aces 3, Des. Flies in with a triple kill and rips Team 1 asunder in round 4. And this is what Rogue needed. This is the energy. This is what's going to drive them forward. Prano might not even have time to get this diffuser down. As it happens, he will. LMO gets 1 and absolutely nothing more as Rogue, they turn up the heat.
That round summarizes more than anything a conversation I was having with a coach earlier on today, where I said if I could pick out one word to describe this major, it would be opportunity. Teams droning out, finding holes in attacks and just saying, right, all 5 of us down there, yeah, okay, go. And they just go at 100 miles an hour. And Team 1, unable to respond there. Caught out. It reminds me very much of their game against Vitality on Chalet, where Vitality would just come in at breakneck speed, kill the one person holding site or a particular room, and Team 1 would then be kind of left flailing and wondering, whoa, what the bloody hell is going on? How do we respond? This is the playstyle that Rogue brought into EUL, and it feels like much of the world is catching up to this. It's why you're seeing so much attacking success, and maybe why you're seeing such defensive difficulties for so many teams here in Sweden.
I bring it back to that site choice a little bit, Des. You know, I mentioned it coming into round 4. I said, you know, Team 1 are choosing to take that 4th site rather than head back to Reading, which is where they've gone back immediately after losing round 4. And I just think maybe this was the site to go back to. You don't have that sort of rush happening more than likely here on Reading. It was a soft wall into mining. It was part of the setup that Team 1 had put there for themselves that actually exposed them. And they might be ruining that one come the end of things, because they could have just given Rogue a little bit of breathing space, and we know that it's all about those marginal differences here at this level of Siege as to what can turn not only a round but an entire series on its head. For the time being, we head into round 5. It's going to be Reading Room this time around for Team 1. Expect a similar defense to last time around. We can see them setting up on the top floor as well. Rogue completely forewent that top floor clearance, and it just goes to show, Des, it is possible to do that. All the utility on top floor, all the manpower on top floor is then wasted if a team is allowed to do that.
You got Leon once again setting up on white window here, while the other 4 all scale up towards the red hatch. And no doubt we'll have a player hovering around the skylight as well once they start thinking about their initial drop into the top floor here. It's very common on Kafe. We're very used to seeing this as the starting point. Just making sure that Leon's there to apply a bit of side pressure whilst the rest get themselves on the roof, get back on the drones, figure out what the game plan is, and step forward from there. Of course, unable to rush in this round the way they would have in the prior one, because there are a couple of members from Team 1 holding out on the top floor. 3 of them to be precise, plus Lagonis playing in below piano on that pulse, just to help be handy with a C4 if required.
Immediate pressure onto those rappels again from Rips. It's something that he has done over and over here. Now out comes the smoke canister onto that washroom wall just to prevent any challenge onto there. The nade will clear out the Goyo shield as well. KDS still quiet in this one. Team One at this point, there's going to be desperately looking for a few kills from him. Just going to be looking for that little bit more oomph. He could be the difference as this game goes on. He's dipped away into safety, and right now Team One have been forced back. Good pressure from Rogue. They've at least got half of the top floor clearance done.
The critical small things being done as well. They took a drone into deep freezer, they put one inside a piano, checked stage, checked every corner they could, because they don't want to get stung in the back once again by Levy. So right sort of call coming in, but Team One responding wonderfully, just saying, right, we've wasted a minute here, we haven't got to play our lives and die for it, let's back away. So Rogue are still very much pinned into the west side of the map right now. You really are looking towards full east side control. You want the vertical setup. You want the reading door to be your option. All 4 members of Team One backing away, but you've got Levy and Lagonis playing together here with C4s in hand. They're looking to fish ace. They want a couple of kills.
Chrono's drone moving through Cocktail tells Rogue now that the top floor is theirs. They can be confident in that, and so you hear that sledge just starting to open things up now. Leon's going to hold the angle from that balcony for the time being, just to prevent any push from mining to challenge up onto the Cocktail balcony. 35 seconds left to go though, Des, and the clock could become the enemy for Rogue here. They need to get moving towards that bottom floor. They've done great work upstairs. They need to make sure now that it doesn't stall out.
They're taking about a minute here on the top floor, longer than arguably they might need to. Just fearful that there is a member of Team One still present, where drones may well give them the answer. They've got 6 still on side. It's not like they're short of information, Ace, but not strictly playing behind it. They've dropped round for reading. They've found themselves one. Rips watching for the half stairs flank to come up. Still a couple of members of Team One holding down to the south. A couple of kills fly in, but they're traded back just as soon. They've got no way in. The door is smoked off. You've got to move now, boys, and they're down with the diffuser. 2 are down on the deck, and Rogue lose to the clock. Again, too much time on that top floor being invested.
What they did up there was good, Des. They got in there. They forced Team One back. I don't feel that they necessarily recognised that fact quick enough. There was about 20 to 30 seconds after Team One had fallen back onto mid-floor, whilst Rogue were still playing in piano. They hadn't pushed through into white, they hadn't pushed through into cocktail. And that 20-30 seconds could be the difference between them winning and losing that round, because when you're down to your final 20 for the execute, rather than, say, the final 40, you don't have time for a plan B. It's, we've got to go now, whether the situation is perfect or not. We've just got to get in there and try and make it work. And there were too many other factors from Team One that they've not been able to account for, not been able to deal with, particularly Levy out in mining, they had Alamau in dining, and they just made their life a misery there. 4-1 now for Team One, and they are cruising in this first half. Final defensive round for them is going to be the top floor.
When my worry comes in again, it's for Rogue. We've said about...
That's my worry for them.
Not Oregon, but for both of these teams right now on this map, we said again about the attacking tendencies of both. You look at the stats. They're 20 to 30% more likely to win when attacking than they are defending, which is crazy to think about Siege, given all we've known about it over the years. And Rogue have found 1 round so far. They sorely need this second if the defensive side is going to go well for them. I'll give it to Team One. They played this kind of high-held game really well. They've looked to match Rogue and waste time as much as they can, and they've done that wonderfully. Rogue are the ones who have struggled to deal with the problems presented before them.
Heading into round 6 proper then, we get into the action phase. We've got Levy waiting, Neskin waiting, Des. The C4s are in hand,
C4
the hatches
as well.
are open. If Rogue aren't alert to this danger, it could be an absolute nightmare, and here they go, Des. Rips is on his way
There's
up.
the Volt animation.
Hear the sound, out comes the Nitro, 1, 2, and they get it! The double team play Nitro works perfectly! Neskin absolutely nails Rips with the second. He's breathing a sigh of relief, Des. He gets away from the first, but then in his face comes the next, and there's nothing that he can do about it. Well played from Team One.
Running the explosive gauntlet there, just like, here's a C4, and here's another C4, take it all the way, but unfortunately you can't escape both. And the thing is, once they hear you vaulting over that wall, you're locked in the animation. You can't go back and go, no, I'm back on the rappel, I'm safe down here. You're committed to getting over that wall, and you have to run. And try as he might, 2 C4s, just a little bit too much for him to find an answer.
Unreal from Team One. What a start there, just getting so aggressive on the defense to kick things off. Lagonis going to be holding onto that cocktail balcony with the pulse for the time being. We've got Team One pretty much just holed up on this top floor now, just looking to sit down and hold tight to things, force Rogue to play.
This is it, right? Again, 90 seconds in the round. No control of Piano yet established. They're still clearing out Pixel. They've got rid of the Goyo shield that was there, but now they've got to worry about the castle barricade that's set up on the cigar door. They've managed to send the man back, and Ace is on the white window. Normally, Leon, who would play there, it's now Ace is finding that kill to push one back into 4 versus 4, but the clock is not great. Levy finds one. Leon's down as Neskin inside a cigar shop finds another, and again, Team 1 has just rebuffed Rogue at every single turn.
Just absolutely nothing that Rogue can do at the minute to get themselves into this one, Des. I think the change of halves cannot come quickly enough for them, and the problem that they've got is now Team 1 are carrying a lot of momentum forward. Lagonis is going to find Prano before he can secure that kill onto Neskin. It's 4 versus 1. Neskin is likely to stay down through the remainder, I would expect. They're not going to want to risk themselves too much trying to rescue him. Alamau gets the kill before they even need to think about it. 5-1 on the half for Team 1, and they are starting to run away with things.
Not going to lie, Tim, it looks effortless. They're not even really having to try, dare I say. They're just sat there and like, well, if Rogue want to take half a round to clear Pixel, fine. If they don't want to clear out the castle barricade, also fine. It's not an issue for us. And as soon as kills start coming through, there's Alamau, there's Neskin, there was one other player also around Cigar. That's how confident they are, is they are holding up so high against Rogue, even when they've got a numbers advantage. Some teams, when they find a kill or two, will say, right, pull back, we've got the kills we need, play deeper on site, play it safe. But the confidence on Team 1 now is palpable. You're seeing it in everything they're doing, in-game and out-of-game, the happiness, the smiles on their faces, everything. Rogue need to pull off a miracle on the defensive side.
They've got some work to do, that much is absolutely certain, Des, and they're getting beaten up pretty badly here on Kafe. They're going to come into their first defensive round, now our round 7 as the sides have switched. If you're joining us for the first time and wondering just exactly how it all works, one team, we play best of 12 in regulation time, so one team will have 6 defensive rounds in a row, as you've just seen Team 1 complete. And then they will move on to the second half, where now Team 1 will potentially have up to 6 attacking rounds, Rogue having their opportunity to defend. But if Team 1 can secure just 2 rounds here, if they can get themselves to 7, being that we are best of 12, they will win this one out, and we will head into map 2. We're on a best of 3, so we will see 3 maps if necessary, but if either Team 1 or Rogue can get themselves 2 maps won before that point, then they win the series and head on to the semi-final.
Interesting that both teams have prioritised reading and fireplace here. And it's one that I look at as a bar and cocktail defence with extra steps. You need to get top floor control. And we see some teams that will only reinforce out towards the Far East. Aces, that's a cheeky start. You'll see some teams that defend out towards the Far East and just hold bar and cocktail and drop away after. Some will basically do it as if they're defending bar and cocktail and hold right up inside a bathroom and look to contest inside a piano itself. Here on the side of Rogue, they're being a bit more beyond that. They're also playing aces still inside of Piano. Very rare you see a player playing this deep inside the defensive side of things when they're defending reading and fireplace, but he's made it work with a single kill. And now on Team 1 side, it's a question of, okay, do we deal with this guy? Do we ignore him? I would wager they have to deal with him.
As you say, they really need to be making sure that they're paying full attention. Des dealing with everything put in front of him. Alamau now on the bottom floor, just looking to see if he could get a cheap kill up onto the new balcony there. Will not find anything. He's going to try instead to challenge onto white stairs. He's going to come head to head with Leon, and I think Leon's well aware that he's there, but out comes the nade, makes the challenge, loses his life. Great solo play from Alamau there, Des, just following that nade in, forcing the man to move and just putting everything in his favour. I don't think they know about Prano, certainly doesn't know about Aces though. Alamau getting a little bit aggressive on the white stairs there. Shut down, Crying fans, Neskin, 4 versus 2 for Rogue now.
This is the trouble you're going to face, right? Is when Rogue want to get aggressive against Windows by running around the map like lunatics, they will get away with it in some instances. It's a good first defense coming out. Lagonis trying to work his way up white here, currently set at about the halfway mark, and has got 2 players around in the pulse, no doubt feeding information back that Lagonis is pushing up, or at least I bloody hope so. There we go. Crime finding one man left alive, sat on site. It's KDS, dug in behind the bookcase. Has got to do it all against 3 members of Rogue.
I said that they needed something special out of KDS today. There's more of a contribution, and this could certainly be a start as he gets himself one in the 1v4. Unlikely that he's going to finish this one off, I would imagine, but
going to see him on the left.
There's 50 seconds left to go.
There we go.
Down from behind there. Rips finding his last man. Rogue getting their first defensive round, and that's going to do absolute wonders for this Rogue side here, Des. It's going to settle them right down because they've got themselves that side switch. So now everything that's happened in that 5-1, mentally you can sort of write it off. You can be like, you know what? We were on the attack. We're ready on the defense now. You know, like, that's absolutely fine. This is our time to shine. And they need to come out and obviously replicate or better what Team One have done effectively. 5-1 will see them go into overtime. 6-0 on this half would see them take it immediately. But Rogue, a good start nonetheless.
Very disruptive start, I think, and Team One, this is where they'll have that conversation of, right, how do we control that level of aggression? We've seen it there in all the replays as well. The initial spawn peek out the window, crying, flanking up the stairs, for example. There's lots of things that Rogue were doing to be disruptive and frankly irritating. If there's a single hole in your drone game, you're going to get torn asunder by Rogue in that style of setup. I'm glad to see at least that it's not going to be a total rollover when we go towards, say, a 7-1 scoreline. Rogue do start fighting their way back. We're heading up to Bar and Cocktail, so following much the same site rotation that Team One employed back in their first half. And I'm keen to see how the defense sets up. By the looks of it, it's going to be a full pixel bathroom hold that we're so used to seeing on this site. Not quite a full Castle Aruni extension into Cigar Shot that we sometimes see from teams as well. So slightly more defensive, but also very inhibitive of teams being able to get any control inside of Piano.
Okay then, here we go. Rogue, you got to keep going, you got to keep it rolling. The last thing that they want is them coming in and getting themselves a couple of rounds on the board here, Team One, because if they get one, it's match point. They're really struggling then. They're really going to be on the back foot. So now is the time for Rogue to mount this challenge, Des. They don't want to give another round away. They got to get 3, they got to get 4, they got to get 5, level themselves up, make their lives at least a little bit easier. Team One, they're going to be desperate to find that round, I'm sure. And once again, Alamau very quickly into the building. Des always playing with a lot of confidence. No wonder. Only one of 2 players this year to go over 100 kills in every single regular stage. Unbelievable talent in the scene of Siege. And you can see it translates into his play. He's just always so willing to get into the building and take those gunfights.
We're very cautious about this so far, and I believe there's actually a yokai at the bottom of White Stairs that Team One have missed. That sat above their heads gives them all the information required here as to what the push is going to be. They had the Valkyrie on the outside of the building, the yokai on the inside. That just gives them all the knowledge of who's pushing up and when, which means Crying can be sat here waiting to greet them. So that slightly up finds out the drone coming in, and now at least Team One are aware of his presence. But the barbed wire on side, he can't quite be rushed. Going to push him forward, finds the swing onto KDS, and down he goes.
Great start from Crying there, managing to use that information to his advantage, and I'm a little bit disappointed with Team One, Des. It was something that they managed to take advantage of, was cameras being left in place, was being able to utilise that information against their opponents, and now they're not paying the same sort of attention themselves, and it's costing them.
It's so interesting because very commonly we'll see on this site take as the attackers that you'd start from the west and work inwards. That has not been bothered with by Team One. They've gone entirely from below, but Rogue have adapted to suit. They've got a couple of players playing on the downstairs. They've got the Valkyrie playing tight here. Alamau down to about half HP. Pistol in hand. Leon comes out there with a deagle on side. Can he find the kill? It's Knife City in here, but no one can get the kill. Levy swings up and finds it back while Aces elsewhere brings down Lagonis. Things are balanced. Crying, going for the swing. Levy finding the kills, and I tell you what, 13-3 is not a bad scoreline. The quarterfinal, Ace.
Team One really do just keep fighting, don't they? They never give up. The support for Alamau there in that gunfight with Leon was fantastic. 2 versus 3 now. Rip's taking damage. Team One, they're scrambling, Des. They don't really have too much of an opportunity or a hope of getting this diffuser down, so instead they are looking for kills, but they can't get themselves up onto that top floor. The challengers are just constantly coming in. Alamau trying to do anything he can to get himself an angle from that mid floor, but time is ticking by. 20 seconds left to go, and the sand continues to run through the hourglass.
It's going to be a big White Stairs push here. I wasn't quite sure what Alamau was hoping to do from below because they couldn't really push up from there. Gets tagged. Ace is finding Levy, rips the closer. Rogue find round 8. And I've got to say it, both teams looking equally messy on the attacking side, Tim.
I mean,
they do. It's not clean from either side on the attack today.
It's absolutely true. You know, coming in here, we commented about Rogue's defences previously and that they've struggled with them a little bit in Stage 3, and we said that Kafe may well be the perfect map as a corrector for that, and that is what they're showing us so far. They've been solid. Team One just unable to get established in the building there. You know, they just weren't able to really get themselves onto that top floor comfortably at any point in time. And if you've not done that, you're missing a part of your checklist, your process as an attacker, Des. You want to get in there and have control of Piano, have control of Cigar, have players holding lines of sight in towards the bomb sites to try and catch defenders out, to try and force them to stay still. And Rogue never had to at any point there.
This is normally the round that when we're casting EUL, you say is the swing round. When it's sat at 5 and 3, if the team pulls it back and we go to 5 and 4, it's game on. Suddenly overtime looks very plausible for the side that's behind. Team 1 win this round, they go to 6 and 3. Rogue need to chain 3 rounds back to back to guarantee overtime at a minimum. And the pressure really starts to build. So if Rogue can win this one, I think we find ourselves careering towards overtime very quickly.
I would agree with you. I think, you know, if Rogue get this one, Team 1 starts sweating a little bit as well. And, you know, you start thinking, we're throwing this, we're throwing it away, we've got no answers here. You know, like you say, when Rogue have had that defensive rotation, they've already run reading bar, they go to mining now and close it out. It just leaves them with myriad options of how to progress, and they've got themselves back in touch, and the belief at that point, the momentum is firmly with the Rogue side. Now then, Levy being extra careful here, no surprise, Ace has got himself a nice spawn peak to start us off. It was on to Levy back in round 7, and I want to see these cams dealt with, Des. I know that it's not straightforward. There's a lot of outside space on Kafe to find. Bring the IQ then, because they are punishing you right now.
Ooh!
However, talking of punishment, Des,
Of course, it's Levy doing it as well. 14 and 4, nice. Looking at how things are shaped up, I agree with you, because after the last round, I saw the Yokais and the Valk. I thought, okay, surely now Team 1 realised that Rogue is doubling down on this information game and they bring along the IQ. But it wasn't to be a thing. The yellow ping coming in, Leon with a golden opportunity to find a kill, but couldn't quite connect his shots. That'll be the first and last time he gets a chance to get a kill out of that white door this round.
Alamo right now is all the way down on bottom floor. Des looks to make the challenge onto Leon and gets him. I'm not sure that Rogue were aware of his presence there, and that is again Leon losing out in that battle. I can count in my head at least 3 times now that he's come head to head with Alamo, and whether Alamo's needed support or not, Leon's ended up dead on the back of it. And again, it's a battle that Rogue just need to start getting on top of. 4 versus 3 at the halfway mark. This could be Team 1's opportunity now.
I said first and last, and then he pushes back down white and somehow wins a gunfight down there. Should never be getting away with that. Team 1 should have that covered every single time, or at the very least a drone there, but it wasn't present. Prano finding Alamo. A 3 versus 3 with health bars basically even across both sides here, Tim. But Levy the God himself, he's still alive and kicking.
Neskin just again sweeping across that top floor. They've got control now, so they can start thinking about sight, but I don't know if there's a potential for a flank here or not. We've got Aces playing underneath. Rogue may not choose to get that aggressive, but we'll see whether the opportunity presents itself. C4 comes out from Rick's, not going to have any impact just yet. The Rotero looking to be used to clear out some soft surface.
I think it removes the C4 maybe.
Very possibly does, but it's going to give them some verticals down into utility as well and force Rips out of position. 45 seconds left to go. Team 1 are ahead of where they need to be, but they need to start moving now. They're attacking towards mining, not reading, let's remember.
Yeah, they've got the drone at Levy's feet here as well. Needs to move around a little bit quicker as well. I don't want to get yourself caught up by that drone once it starts going off, but it's got his way inside a utility. He could catch them out here. Lagonis finding one onto Prano. A 2 versus 3. Rips and Aces with it all to do. Aces having a great game so far as well. They've got full control of the site. Rips finds one walking in. He's going to back away down in towards the first floor, but he can spring back up at the right time here. Lagonis, he's going on a hunt. What can they possibly find? They see one walk in. Aces finds another. Are they clutching this one out? It goes down to a 1v1. Surely no! Aces with the shotgun finds a 3K. Rogue find a round. It's 5 and 4. And like casters love saying, Tim, we've got a game on our hands.
We certainly do, and I mean, Rogue, what a round from them. It was scrappy, but they got it done. And that's what we need to see from this Rogue side. And as well, Des, let's not forget, so far they've won every single defensive round. They've now included mining in that. And that's something that Team 1 weren't able to do. That was their one sort of slipping point, was trying to get mining.
They've even gone down to kitchen, yeah. In fact, avoiding the site entirely. Just going back to reading and fireplace. So not doing the 4-site rotation that we saw out of Team 1 back in the first half, but instead saying, like you challenged Team 1 too back in the first half, is that one not so much overconfident or cocky type choice in the mining being their 4th site that they didn't really need to go to. They could just rotate back to the 3 that already won. Will that be the difference maker in this game? And I've got to say, Kafe remains the map that teams just cannot attack.
The thing is, if this goes 7-5 Rogue, Team 1 have effectively lost it by 1 round. So, I know it's 2 on the scoreboard, but that's not quite how the maths work. So they've lost it by that 1 round.
What?
It's not, is it? Because if they've won that one round back in their own half, they've had a 6-0 half, it goes 6-0, they go to overtime. So it's one round that makes the difference between a 7-5 and a 6-0. Even though on the scoreboard, it looks like 2 between. Des, we're just having a quick maths lesson here.
My brain's frazzled.
Exactly.
I was only for Siege, not mathematics today, Ace.
Anyway, mining. Team 1 choose to go there when they have the option to go back to reading. After they lose that, they go to reading, they win it. They go to bar, they win it. They never play kitchen again. They won kitchen. So you start looking at that and thinking, you know, yes, it's a small decision. No, you're not going to pile the whole thing on it because there has been gunfights. There's been other things that they've lost where maybe, you know, they could have gone and done differently. But you do look at that and think, did they need to play there? What was the reason? Or should they have just gone on the rinse repeat and maybe even got themselves a 6-0 half?
Here's something a bit different for you. Now, I think it was Pengu I was sat with last night talking about this, and he mentioned that Alamau picked up the knock once.
You think it was Pengu?
I think it was.
You don't quite remember whether you were sat talking with one of the greatest players of our game ever. You don't remember whether it was him or not.
No, I don't. So I was also sat with one of the greatest casters of our game in Terror, and I can't remember who it was that said it. It was one of them. It could have been Fluke. She's also fantastic. She was there too. I don't know. There was a group of people. We were talking about something, and someone said this, Tim. Forgive me for not knowing exactly who it is.
So long as you know that Pengu was there, and Parker was there, and M was there, and anybody else, we don't want to leave anybody out. But everybody was.
Why are you bullying me today? Mathematics for one, and then this in the next round. It's not fair and it's not on. I won't stand for it. Alamau, though, as I was going to mention, played Nuck the other day a couple of times. He's rotated through a lot of different operators in the group stage.
He did that at Mexico as well.
Absolutely. So this could be one of the rounds where he hits hard because they know that Rogue have been relying super intensely on information. They've had the Valkyrie every single round. We've seen the Echo being brought out as well. The Pulse could be the difference maker, though. If Prano tags Alamau, this becomes a very different conversation. But if Alamau slips through, I'll start feeling very nervous.
Exactly that. It really is going to come down to potentially whether he gets seen or not. Now then, Levy, he's going to get taken down, Des.
Of course, it's by a jump out.
On a big jump out. Out goes the Nitro. Essential that he gets shut down there. Alamau it is to get up on the rappel quickly, react and get that kill before Aces can get himself back inside. The Nitro that he threw out will not have any impact. Thank you, Lagonis, for taking down one of those Valkyrie plans at least. Oh, I went in too soon, Des.
You're like, thank you for getting rid. Oh, there's still more of them. It's unlucky. Everywhere you look, there's always another one waiting. 4 versus 4, and again, these entry kills do not stop coming in the opening 60 seconds. Both teams at each other's throats in every single round. Leon, with a nice swing onto Alamau, shuts down the Nuck. The one factor that we thought could be very detrimental to Rogue in this round has now been removed.
And I said Leon needed to start winning some of those fights against Alamau and could not have picked a better time to do so, coming in with a really impactful kill there in the round, swinging it back in Rogue's favour. 4 versus 3, and Team 1 looking a little bit lost here. Des Crying catches Neskin out as he looks to get inside of Piano, and right now Team 1 have 0 map control. They have not moved any of these Rogue defenders along. Finally, they managed to get the kill onto Crying inside of Piano. Lagonis getting that one, taking some damage in the process. But Team 1 have still got an awful lot of work to do here. There's only a minute left to go. They're just about taking control over the top floor. They've got Nitros underneath them. This could be a little bit of a nightmare finish to round 10 for them.
Prano's like a piranha pit, just going fishing here as well, holding out the cardiac sensor, as you mentioned. Explosives at the ready if so required. They've got 2 C4s, one being tossed out, won't find the man. A little chip of damage, but nowhere enough that it's going to scare KDS in any way, shape or form. If nothing else, probably sleeping a little easier now that he knows that that C4 has been deployed. There is still one more available for Leon, who's currently holding here towards the bottom side of White. Waiting to see if again, Team 1 go for the push down White rather than dropping through utility. They did it in the previous attack around this site. Didn't opt to go down through the utility drop and did manage to end up getting in the round. KDS though, finding one back. No way do Rogue throw this one away. Plan going down inside of Reading. A temporary 2 versus 1 ensues. Surely Rogue can swing in and get the kill here. No, they can't. KDS onto a double. Leon has got to do it all now. He's found himself rotated back around and he's killed out. How on earth have Rogue throwing away a 4 versus 2?
Team 1 played that beautifully in the 2v2, Des. They recognised that there was nobody upstairs, and there was a really important thing that happened. As that diffuser was going down, a grenade was dumped into sight because they knew that was the only place that the challenge could come from, was on that Reading to corridor single door. And that just completely halted any progress that could be made from inside of sight. As you say, Leon is rotating all the way upstairs. He can't get there in time. Diffuser goes down, and then Rogue are within a split second on the back foot. That
It's a 4v2, look.
This is it, and then it just falls apart. Cryan gets his kill, but then Lagonis manages to turn it around. Look at this, the nade goes in. Absolutely beautiful there, taking the man down, using the vertical, but this cover from KDS, absolutely essential.
It's one of those, you look at one of these rounds where, again, a 4 versus 2 is lost out. You would look back at this afterwards and say, would a team that loses a round like that be going on to win a final? Maybe you allow 1 or 2. But the small mistakes like that are what can cost you big time. Rogue need to win these next 2 defenses, or Team 1 take the first map. They're going back up to Bar and Cocktail. Alamau sticking on to the Nook, looking to do some damage. Again, the double information game being played by Rogue, with the Valkyrie and the Echo being on side. Team 1 have done a pretty good job of getting rid of some of the Valkyrie cameras outside, but from what I saw last time round on this site, they didn't have really any idea about the Yokai drone that was at the bottom of White Stairs. So small things like that are stinging them a little bit, and as we've seen from the jump outs, Rogue are more than happy to play off the information.
I feel like Rogue needs to come in here with an opening kill or 2 days. I just think out of the 2 teams, they are the team that are less likely to win from that sort of a position, 2 versus 4. You know, Team 1 have just gone and done it, and they've done it a couple of times now. If you remember back in the first defensive round, Lagonis again guided them to that clutch. I think they just need to get themselves the advantage. They tried to do exactly that from White Stairs, as you say. Team 1 looking very alive there and managing to get that nitro shot out, taking down the Valkyrie cams as well, denying them that information, and maybe Team 1 have just activated on the attack here.
That C4 was almost very problematic. Could have found itself a couple of kills on the way swinging out, but Lagonis, the LMG already spraying away. No way, it doesn't get shot out of midair, especially in a LAN environment where there is no ping. This round starting out slow, and for the first time, Ace, I think it's fair to say, inside 60 seconds, we have not seen an entry death. That seems to have been the kind of theme throughout the entire game for both teams, has been members have died very early in the round. So this could yet be one of the more constructive rounds, and we'll see how it plays out now that we've got one, once again, looking to push their way up White Stairs.
That's it all very much. It's been an interesting game in terms of attacks onto top floor, Des, because there's not been much attention towards Piano at all, realistically. You know, a lot of the attacks being focused around those White Stairs, around the Cocktail rappels, just trying to pressure the defenders that they know are going to be waiting deep inside a site. You know, the likelihood is that they're not playing too far out into Piano now. KDS just going to hold down White Stairs for the time being whilst Alamau gets a drone in. I think just waiting for maybe an opportunity to push up there. They've got Neskin as well on the book, and
playing below again.
Team 1 are just in that phase. They're confident that they've got the map control of the lower levels, and now it's time to start pressuring upstairs.
They really dislike the west side push. Both times on this site, they haven't bothered with going for Piano or red. They've just pushed up wide, play for the window, an entirely east and below side take. Find a nice grenade onto Rips, who was sat inside a Cocktail, and that'll put the jitters up the side of Rogue a little bit. We spoke about the Wamai ban from Team 1 not really being super impactful in the first half, because Team 1, of course, being the team that banned it away, so therefore detrimental to themselves. In this half, they are abusing that. A good number of grenades being tossed around and a few kills being found.
Leon knows he needs to get himself out of dodge there. They'd spotted him, he'd taken his shots,
get seen for the
but
window.
not hit them, and he knew that explosives were going to follow. He does manage to dip away from them. This is something that I've seen the Latam sides do on Kafe before. Get themselves into reading with a book and just completely open up the Cocktail floor and make it impossible for the defenders to hold from that side. But Rogue, they're doing pretty well at the minute, Des. They've dug their heels in and they're waiting here, but Neskin finds Cryan after he goes on the jump out and takes down Lagonis. 4 versus 3, 15 seconds left to go, and it's now or never for Team 1 in this round. They need to get themselves established in a position to put this diffuser down. Prano's going to play spoiler. He gets one, but traded out immediately. 5 seconds and no sign of that diffuser going down, but Alamau, in the absolute last breath of the round, starts to do it, but Leon is able to shut it down, and Rogue get what is the first of 2 essential rounds.
Leon played that so well in Cocktail. For the majority of the round, he was sat between the first and second bar, just dancing away from the guy that was on the east rappel. As soon as he hears that rappel change, because Alamau was going to the roof, he moves down towards the south side, repositions himself, and it just leaves like Team 1 unsure as to where he is. You saw that final push coming in from the buck. He's left entirely alone inside a Cocktail, and then rotates upwards to give them the kill onto Alamau. Really big delivery coming out, and Cryan naturally with a jump out. It's Rogue. Why wouldn't they jump out of Kafe?
So right now we're in a contest to see whether one of these 2 teams can attack marginally better than the other. Rogue only securing 1 round win on the attack. Team 1 have done that, but they're going to have to find another if they want to close this out in regulation time. For my money, Des, this is screaming overtime at me right now, but Rogue are going back to reading. That is the one site that Team 1 have successfully attacked onto.
Awesome. Well, let's see how things play out from here on, because again, the game just keeps on getting spicier. It feels like Levy had an incredible first half. I don't think he's yet found a kill. In the second half, has been very, very quiet. Maybe one or two. I think he defined himself at 14-4 at one point, but that was about it. And on the other side, Aces has been running up behind him, ready to pounce. Sat at 14-7 himself. You can see where the tent pegs have been hammered into the ground here. They are the two pivotal players that can have massive impact on these rounds. One more for Rogue and we get overtime. And Team 1, I guarantee you, they want to end this here and now, because let's not forget, this was Rogue's map choice. Team 1 got to pick what side they started on. They chose defense. I guarantee you, Rogue chose to start on defense in overtime, which means they get 2 defenses, and that will make Team 1 sweat.
It certainly will, like you say. It really is one of those moments where Team 1 needs to step up and make sure they get the job done now. They don't want to be going to overtime. That Valkyrie cam's going to be pinged out and no doubt taken down. There we go. Lagonish just being careful that there was no peek or jump out going to be coming his way. So managed to take out that utility, and the clearance can begin for Team 1 here. They can look at starting to get themselves inside. Neskin likely to take the drop here once that drone goes in from KDS. They're just trying to, again, gather that information, make sure top of red is not being watched, which at the minute it's not directly. There's nobody inside a piano. There is Prano using the heartbeat scanner underneath to feed information, but Rogue's defensive top floor is completely on the east side, Des. We've got 1 in Lumber, 2 in Cocktail. That's where they're holding at the minute.
And I guess for Team 1, a bit more confident attacking from the west side here. So they've got a couple dropping in red around Piano, for example. Knowing that it's not as big a hold on the top floor, it's still a similar story where, of course, Rogue are playing downstairs now, but have 2 players once again inside a Cocktail looking to do some damage on the early entry to Team 1. But it's not quite the hyper-aggressive Cigar style hold that we saw coming out of Team 1. It's a little bit more reserved, but it's still another entry. Ace is absolutely on fire. He's found 2 in the round before finally being shut down. But the damage has been done. Inside 90 seconds, we've lost Alamal, we've lost Iana, we've lost 4 frag grenades critically here, Ace. Those aren't going to be available, and we've seen them get several vertical kills in this game.
That's it. The Terror drone going to be used to open the hatch up. He's not seen him. Neskin has not thoroughly drawn that out enough, and Crying is just home free here, Des. He's led prone. If Neskin goes in, this is going to be an absolute freebie for Crying. They're just waiting for that moment. He's shot out. Crying's just trying to time this right now, and what a moment that we have. I love these where we can see, but they can't. He sees his man. There you go. As easy as that from Crying, and that goes to show you the margins that we are playing with, Des. Neskin's drone goes another foot forward, and that's it. He sees Crying led prone. It's a different story. 4 versus 1 now. Rogue finish it off, and we are going to overtime.
Of course we are, Tim. Wow. I mean, across both halves, much the same issue. Looking at Medics in my ear like, of course. Yes, Medics, of course. It's one of those that I look at, and again, the same issues repeated themselves across both halves there, I think, for the attacking side. Misdroning, kind of looking a bit lost sometimes in the mid-round, a little bit slow at points as well. And dare I say for Team 1, a bit of stubbornness. Not being willing to change away from their fixed comp and bring along an IQ. When we saw Valkyrie every single round, indoor and outdoor cams. We had Yokais in a couple of the rounds as well. We had Pulse. So much information being given by Rogue to the rest of the team to help them net kills, and just no response coming out of the side of Team 1.
Start worrying for Team 1 now if you are one of their fans, because Team 1 are going to start on the attack. We've only seen them win 1 round so far on the attack. That was on to Reading Room. And they're going to have to try and replicate it somehow, because right now Rogue sit with a considerable advantage, having the 2 defensive rounds. It is a best of 3 rounds now. So whichever team can win 2 will win the map overall. And Rogue being on the defense, you would have to say it's likely that they can.
Think about how crazy it would be. We've got to go through another map or 2 yet, and I would love this to go all the way to Chalet. I feel like it really deserves it.
3 overtimes, 45 rounds.
Not again.
Medics is shaking his head.
I mean, again, looking at it, you've got the current major champions. You've got Team 1, who took the world by storm with an incredible tiebreaker game, if you remember, against Cyclops back at Mexico, to then go on to win the whole thing was unbelievable. Rogue, a team that have had a torrid 18 months. Stage 2 is the curse for these boys. They just cannot seem to win in Stage 2 ever. Stage 3 has been their stage, but for them to go on, after these players not being at a major for what? Or at a LAN in general for about 2 years, is incredible. For Prano, it's his first LAN. And the kind of numbers and performance that he's been putting up throughout the competition, the story is just unbelievable. You could not have two teams at faraway ends of the spectrum from one another, but this is how close they are.
Team One, they're just waiting for a bit of a hero moment here, Des. They've had Levy on 14 kills, but looking across the rest of the scoreboard, you know, everybody else is only coming up to half of that, and they just need somebody to step up and have that moment for them. But to be honest, the story is the same on the side of Rogue. You've got Aces on 16 and nobody over half of that. You know, these two players have absolutely dominated and run away with this one. Aces not able to have the same sort of success with the Nitro as Neskin did, but he's giving it a whirl. He's going to get the drone eventually. There we go.
The fifth time trying. I mean,
he's got 16 kills.
He can click heads, just not drones apparently.
We'll leave him alone.
We will. A little bit of a change coming in from Rogue, where they have spread out more towards the west on this defense as well. There's one on Pixel, one on stage, only one inside of Cocktail, and of course Ace is lurking around Bar. So quite a change coming in, expecting something different from Team 1 maybe. But yet again, Team 1 being so slow. Oh, this crouch up white stairs, Alamau currently starting to work his way forwards. There is a man holding just above him. I believe it's Leon on the Valkyrie. We spoke about the damage that a Nook could do if left unchecked. And here comes the jump out. Will he find one? Yes, he will. Does he find the second as well out towards the door? No, he doesn't. Gets traded out. That's good, because for Alamau now, he can step up uncontested. Unless someone backfills that spot on white stairs, that barbed wire is all but useless.
Rips taking the kills from Piano Stage this time. It was Crying last time around, but the position is... Oh, no, sorry, it is Crying that's playing there. The kill came in from elsewhere. There was a crossfire that Rips has been able to...
Oh, he's got him!
Prano finds Alamau. Knock this time, Alamau, as he gets taken out at the top. A white stairs 4v1. Rogue are running away with it, Des. I dare say that Team 1, the mental has gone in this map.
It's the attacking side, Ace. They can defend, but can they attack? Apparently not. Neither team able to get much. We've seen 2 attacking round wins so far. And after this round, the way it concludes out, 11 defensive rounds. And we were fearful of this coming into the map, and it has come to light. You know, 2 of arguably the worst defending teams, 2 of the best attacking teams. Which one gives way on a map that's very... Okay, just style points for the spinning before he goes for the final shot. Okay. Okay, Rogue have swung it all the way back. They've really battled back in after it looked lost by round 6. You thought surely Team 1 could just push it over the finish line with a couple of rounds, but could only find 1. Now at least Team 1 get to go back on the defense. You get the sense it's going all the way to 15, Ace, unless Rogue can pull off another nutty, rushy style attack.
Team 1 going to be going down to Kitchen, I think, as their site of choice. So all the way down to the basement. I would imagine they're going to... Last time around, they played all 5 down on site, or near enough on site. They had one in court check, one out towards VIP, but it was very bottom floor based was the defence. I think they might stretch their legs a little bit here, try and get out.
Look at this. He just spins like 4 times before stepping out for the shot. It's classic Aces fashion.
Oh, Aces. That was to make up for the drum.
I mean, he's 18 and 8 now. He's on course for 20 kills if this carries on.
It's been a big game from him. It's been a big game from him, and
big tournament overall. I mean, we were speaking about this a lot, you know, saying with Prano coming in to be the main IGL, Aces' focus goes from the entire round and helping coordinate that, you know, attention as resource, as I sometimes call it. All of that attention could go into his roam game, into getting kills, into almost micromanaging the entry game from him and Leon as a pairing. I had a good chat with Meepy about this, and he was saying, you know, those 2 as a pairing, hyper-vocal, very aggressive, play incredibly well together. That's why they're often out there being the go-to roam duo. Crying the sort of flex player sat in the middle, then Rips and Prano holding down the back line. But as a team, the efforts are coming together. Team 1 surely can find themselves a defensive round win, because this game deserves 15.
If you remember last time around, the Valkyrie had a huge impact on this defense for Team 1. There was an IQ on the side of Rogue that time, not this time, but they were unable to deal with that information utility. They didn't clear it out, and boy, did they pay for it. So we'll see whether they pay that same attention or whether they are able to clear it out this time and make sure that they're not on the back foot because of it. Rips aware of that main door. I think Rogue are very ready for Team 1 coming out and being aggressive on the defence here, but by contrast, I'm not sure that that's going to be Team 1's game plan. They've got a couple of ADSs in behind the bakery counter. They've got one in VIP there. Those are the 2 areas they're going to try to hold on for the time being. They're just trying to gauge exactly which side this push is coming from to start with.
And a lot of gauging they're going to have to do. North side apparently is the answer. Neskin almost getting himself taken out by the frag grenade coming in over those wooden panels to the top. playing in a very common spot on the bar where you'd look to C4 inside of Freezer itself to do some damage. But KDS finding Leon, a swing coming in, there's another one out the front door, making a double coming in for Alamau. 2 huge kills and the third man left there. Alamau hits the deck, goes for another, finds a triple. He's been quiet for much of the game, but that's the way to keep your team in this, and it looks like round 15 is on the cards.
So I just cannot believe what I'm watching in this game. Put Team 1 on defense, all of a sudden they light the map up and look like a different side than the one we've just seen for the last 7 rounds. But the problem for them is going to come in this final round, round 15, that it looks almost certain we are heading to at the minute. Although saying that, no, just goes absolutely wild, gets himself one as he drops into Freezer. He does have a lot of time. He's got the diffuser in hand, he's got options, but the Yokai drones are not going to make life easy for him. Team 1 know exactly where he is. They've got cams on him. They're just going to force him to play here, Des.
He gets that Yokai, that's the critical one, because now they're out of information. This is where Prano, if he plays this right, and again, he's got so much time, could find himself walking away as the winner. You got the 3-way split on screen, which I love seeing, by the way. You can see everything going down in this 2 versus 1. He needs to find one with a shotgun. One holding out towards bar, and he has an idea as to where he is. There's no joint push coming in. The bullet's enough to give it away. Can't find it, and Levy finally waking back up from his slumber careers us through to round 15.
Team 1 breaking a pretty serious rogue streak of 3 rounds there.
Woo.
To take us all the way. We've got a long way to go in this matchup yet, Des. This is only map 1. Let's not forget of a best of 3. Kafe being hotly contested. I feel like it's quite important for Rogue to win this map because they head into Oregon next. Team 1 are a good side on Oregon, and it's not going to be easy for Rogue to find anything there. If they lose this last round, then it's sort of, that could be critical. That could be seriously dangerous for them. So Rogue, they need to lock it down on the defense. They're going to be going to reading room. It's the one site that Team 1 have been able to win. Rogue need to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Did make me a smidge nervous that Team 1 were willing to step into a 1 versus 1 there. You know, you've got the numbers advantage. You can bait out the plant. You can try and force it into a 2 versus 1 in a trade in any given situation, but opted for the 1v1. Now, fortunately, they win, but imagine if Levy had lost that and Prano had gone on to win the next 1 versus 1. You'd be looking at that and saying, well, guys, you've got 2 left alive. Why aren't you playing off each other? And that's how it looked like it was going to shape up. But fortunately, Levy does hit that critical shot. We now get ourselves on the site where it all started for both teams in their defensive rounds, Reading and Fireplace. Both teams have been categorically slow in getting the necessary map control to start looking for a plant on this site. And I think in this round for Team 1, we need to see something special. There's got to be a new idea coming in. Alamau, stepping away from the Nook, is picking up the Finker.
Okay then, here we go, Des. We're ticking down and we are about to head into our final action phase here on Kafe. Team 1, they've got to find a way. They've got to change their fortunes on attack, and I feel like that comes with opening kills. They need to be winning this first minute to 2 minutes and getting themselves the man advantage. They've shown an ability to win from behind, but they don't want to have to. Alamau going to take out one of those 3 black eye cameras, reducing the information that Rogue are going to have ahead of them. We've got quite a heavy presence from Rogue up on the top floor at the minute. We've got Prano playing inside of trains as well on the pulse. He's been there throughout the majority of the game, Des, when he's had the opportunity to look for those vertical nitros.
Drone activated.
All right, at least to begin with, no one being caught by a jump out from the side of Rogue. We're very used to seeing it out of Aces and Leon so far. I think Leon maybe a little more passive in this round given he's playing on the mute. Dug back with that C4 looking to play Denial. Aces may even be the same given he has one of his own. Alamau in his favourite spot, pushing his way slowly up white here. Was being droned in front of him too, but now at least they know. The grenade coming in, almost finding Leon, but unfortunately bouncing off the wall and not quite getting the line of sight. Here comes the swing. That's a critical kill. Leon with a shotgun on white brings down the man that could have made it happen. Alamau taken off the board, and you've got to start feeling nervy if you're a Team 1 fan.
Great step up from Leon there. He's lost that fight a couple of times on white stairs, but when it counts, shotgun in hand, he rips the head off Alamau. Now then, Neskin gets in, finds a kill onto Cryan. Back and forth we go. 4 4 versus 4, a minute and a half left to go. We've still got the Valkyrie of Aces established inside of Piano. I think he's just been forced out by that drone. So Team 1 continuing that process of trying to get that top floor control. They've still got Rips out in Cocktail. There's nearly 2 minutes wasted by Rogue here, and a good start from them defensively.
And they've got the white control, the thing that, you know, Team 1 have constantly fought over. This is one of the first times they've opted to try and push in mainly from the west. KDS, that is a huge kill, because now that's 2 kills they found in 1 versus 1s against members of Rogue who are either out of position or simply unaware as to what's going on. They're bleeding members they shouldn't be, and Team 1 could fight their way back in.
Just a yellow ping coming out there onto the man playing in behind the bookcase in the corner of sight. Levy's going to send in the Rotero drone just to open up the soft wall into dining room here. We could see the majority of this final push come in from over on the train side. Aces, it's just attention is being split here, Des. He knows he might be pushed from the top floor, so he's not watching reading door as much as he might like to. The nade going in will be unsuccessful. Prano with a nitro. Aces with a kill onto Lagonis. It's all going in the direction of Rogue. Somebody's going to have to do something about this for Team 1. 15 seconds left to go. Neskin, Levy, they're throwing everything they've got at it, but Leon from the white stairs once again. This could be Rogue. It's a matter of seconds here for Neskin, and shut down in a huge round from Leon Gids. Finishing off the round for Rogue, finishing off the map, and that is going to be a big start for the European team.
Absolutely huge start. Yes, it was their map choice. Yes, Team 1 were up 5-1, but Rogue fought their way back in. You said to me, and I hope you don't mind me saying it, before this game, that you thought this was either over in 2 to Team 1, if they take Kafe, or if it goes through to Oregon with Rogue being at 1-0. We've got all 3 maps coming our way, and you've just seen the first step of that coming to light.
I did. I said that I thought it was either 2-0 to Team 1 or 2-1 to Rogue, because I think Chalet may just favour them. Team 1 have got some serious work to do here.
Oh, it's going to be spicy. We knew quarterfinals were always going to be good fun, and that's exactly how things have started out. Big players as well. Levy coming up big. Your boy KDS a little bit quieter.
I said before we came in, didn't I, that we needed to see more from him. It's been the story of the tournament. Just to reiterate, second rated in stage 3, really struggling a little bit here.
It's unfortunate, but sometimes those things happen. Let's hope he can bounce back for map 2, which will be Oregon. And we'll throw it to our analysts in just a second. But before that, we had a quick chat with a few Rogue players. So let's take a look at that video.
He is IGL.
That's not even a look.
Not even a hard one.
Because I don't know, man. He doesn't want to scrim. He doesn't like do anything besides like playing the official game. That's it.
There's like multiple answers. I guess everybody enjoys winning.
Yeah, there's nothing better than beating your opponents, right? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
He's always trolling in TeamSpeak, acting like he can't speak English.
It's not acting. It's not acting well. No idea. No one really.
I don't think anyone's nervous in games.
I mean, everyone gets a bit nervous, I guess, but just different every time, right? Someone's nervous that day and someone else is nervous the next day.
General Pranovich. Ex-military, speaks 3 languages. How could you not go wrong with this man?
Probably we're just the banger duo.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much self-explanatory.
I would take Crying because he's the muscle and the brain, so easy to survive.
What do you mean I'm brain as well?
Yeah, sure.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The muscle and the brain. It's Pinky and the brain. That's what happens on Rogue. And you know what? EU League fans, they got map 1. Kafe Dostoevsky goes to Rogue, and what a map it was. Welcome back. I'm Milos the Medic. With me, Arkini and Fresh. And Fresh, I'm going to turn to you first to try to break things down here, because a Rogue victory on map 1 is a pretty impressive feat.
And what a map they just had, by the way. That was absolutely amazing. It was to and fro in between both teams. And actually, if you watch the reveal we did on Monday and you're wondering why Valkyrie got nerfed, I think that game just proved it. All of those outside cams, all the jump outs and the information that came off the back of that. You know, we saw Rogue and Team 1 using Echo, Pulse. They were playing a full information game behind Valkyrie, and obviously Rogue came out on top just about.
Guinea.
Yep.
Europe did it, at least for map 1. We don't want to go too quick, but we talked about this in the pre-match desk, that Rogue's mental is going to be their most important ally and enemy in this case. What's your take on what has happened so far?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It started out pretty bad for Rogue. They got Team 1, got 3 rounds on Rogue. They got that diffuse off, like they couldn't manage to stop that.
Yep.
And then one gets a flawless round on them. And that's when Meepy calls the time out. And I could just imagine what he's saying. You guys need to like compose yourself. We're losing, don't let it get to your head. And right after that timeout, they get 1 round, they lose another 2, but then they're starting to gain momentum and they take it back. And both teams had pretty meh defenses, but I think they did a great job.
Is that what we expected?
I think it's important to note, especially from Rogue's point of view, is their resilience. They were 1-5 down, and they brought it back on the defense side. We were actually wondering how Kafe would play out, being such a defender-sided map. Both of these teams, of course, are known for their attacks and not the defense, and that's what we see. We saw 5-1 halves both times, and then the defense is winning out in overtime as well. Obviously, Aces, he went absolutely huge, 19 kills. And I think they alluded to it on the cast as well, is that the introduction of Prano into this squad, it allowed Aces just a bit more freedom. He didn't have to think or restrict himself as much. And that's not degradation to Aces, that he doesn't have to think. It's just that he can play his game. He doesn't have to focus on the team. And we're seeing the results of that this major because he is doing so well.
Aces really put in a lot of work.
He did, and we'll see what Team 1 does about that on their next map. I think it's one thing that's important to mention, though, is that this was Rogue's map pick.
Yep.
Fair.
And they almost lost it.
We made the same comparison in the previous game where Damwon Kia nearly lost on their map pick and then went on to the opposition's map pick and rolled it. So, but yeah, that's a slight worry, is that Team 1, this isn't one of their favorite maps. So they still managed to get a full max OT. We're going into one of their favorite maps shortly.
You know what? We're going to talk about Oregon in just a second. Yeah, I want to turn to you for this because it seemed like trying to slow down the attack is something that teams attempted. And I don't know if they were really successful at it.
I mean, you looked at what the defense were running. They were running a lot of things that will slow down the attack. And then the attackers themselves were really doing slow linear pushes. And they were really slow at taking control of the map. And yeah, I think that's really what was a detriment to both teams when they were on the attack. They were just too slow. The defense were running a lot of operators that really helped slow down the attack as well. So that just really didn't work out for either of them when they were attacking. And it's going to be really interesting to see how Oregon shapes up. I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming into that map.
Castle, Cash, Money, Pig. Such a great operator to have despite the UMP in this case. How about then we talk about map 2 Oregon. Fresh. If there is one region in the world that is not just comfortable, this is their hunting ground, it's LATAM. They've been playing since the days where all they played in Brazil was border Oregon before they were even part of Pro League in 2017. So this should be home for T1.
And that's exactly what it is. It's home turf. It's their favorite map by far and away. So I was actually really surprised with the map bans to see, because Rogue have kind of not liked Coastline this tournament, but if we go through stage 2, stage 3, they love that map. Rogue got rid of Coastline, which I was surprised to see. Leaving Oregon through, I thought they would actually get rid of Oregon against Team 1, so when the map bans came in, I was very surprised. We know Team 1 and LATAM as a region love this map. Obviously, it's Team 1's pick, so we're expecting that Rogue will go to defense, and we've just seen how they defended there. If they defend as well as they did on Kafe, off the back of Intel, off the back of Valkyrie, Echo, Pulse, then I'm slightly worried for Team 1, even though it is their kind of quote-unquote home stomping ground.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to reiterate, I was going to say pretty much exactly the same as you. I'm surprised that Oregon made it through the map ban phase and didn't try to sort of hit the Latin Americans head on a more aggressive map. Maybe they could have pulled that off. And or another map where they could really utilize aggressiveness towards them, like they did here on Kafe with the outside Valkyries, jump outs. I think that could have maybe been a better option for Rogue.
Yeah. What I'm actually wondering is whether Rogue utilise one of your favourite operators, Clash, and just try and frustrate the living daylights out of Team 1, because we know how aggressive they can be. Just put a Clash in the face of Team 1, see how they deal with it.
Yep.
I can't wait to see it then. Maybe Clash on map 2. It is again Oregon. So Keeney Fresh, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we'll go into game. It's Team 1 versus Rogue, and hey, between you and me, Rogue is leading 1-0. You know what that means. Let's get into game. See you in a moment.
Welcome back to the Sweden Major. We are about to get underway. Map number 2 between Rogue and Team 1. Rogue shattering what seems to be many expectations in taking map number 1, Ace. Kafe going their way. It was their map pick. And now we go into Oregon, Team 1's home turf.
The thing is, Rogue are not just shattering expectations in this game. Rogue are shattering expectations and have been for the last 2 months. That's the reality. We've got to just put a bit of scale on this for everybody right now. You know, I want to pour a little bit of spice on this. Let's give it a bit of sauce, Des. Let's give it a bit of sauce.
Give it to me.
Stage 2, Rogue were fighting a potential relegation spot overall in EUL. They've had a tough year. They come out in stage 3, look like a completely new team, refreshed, get themselves to the major, which Meepy said himself is a bonus to them. But right now, Des, they're on the cusp of going to the 6th Invitational. I mean, what a turnaround. That is what they are facing here, and fighting to 15 rounds on Kafe against current major champions Team 1 and coming away with the map with that sort of pressure on your shoulders. Rogue have got it all to do here.
It's worth stressing, of course, the current war. Basically, if Rogue gets to top 4, to make it nice and simple for you, they get top 4, they get SI, TSM don't. So I guarantee there are plenty of TSM fans and players and staff, so on and so forth, watching with nervous trepidation.
Well, lessons been learned there.
There's been a few lessons learned here. The Flores being taken away by Rogue towards what we saw coming out of Levy in the last match. Capitao, a really interesting one, does of course now have the double hard breach gadget after that recent buff, where anyone with said hard breach gadget received 2. So more valuable in multiple ways. I think here when attacking downstairs, especially with the number of hatches, Capitao can be very, very valuable when it comes to the execute. Valkyrie, not surprised to see that one taken away. Just bullied both teams in the last map. And the Kaid, one of those that I look at and think, well, you've got Thatcher on side, you've got the Maverick. Do you need to really worry about banning it here? I don't want to go as far as saying a wasted ban by Rogue, but one that I look at and think you probably could have banned something more effective here.
Potentially. Very much potentially. Round number 1, Rogue are going to start us on the defense. That's where they've just excelled on Kafe. Whether that's going to be the same here on Oregon or not will play out over the next potentially 12, potentially 15 rounds, Des, as this one
don't tease
on.
me.
But I don't think the defense is necessarily going to be quite as solid here. I think they're going to have a little bit more joy on the attack from these two. I think we're going to see it mixed up a little bit more.
Well, we'll see about that.
Hoping we see it mixed up a little bit.
We'll see about that one, Tim. Rogue 2-0ing Team 1 was on no one's scratch cards, I guarantee you of that much. Round 1 is downstairs in the basement site. Of course, there is no soft destruction for this site on the ceiling, which means you're much more focused on pushing in through either freezer and laundry or up towards the north and trying to push your way through construction or big tower. Now on the side of Rogue, what they're doing is looking to extend and play above here. So rather than conceding the second floor and the ground floor over to Team 1 early on, they want to start a little bit of a war here, Ace. They want to get themselves present and see what kind of challenge they can give. They have got the attic hatch reinforced, so they can't be challenged from above, so they definitely want someone playing inside of meeting and looking to waste as much time as possible. In this case, it's Aces looking to catch them maybe off the rip, staying inside a split and looking down towards that front lobby door.
Cryan's on the Mozzie upstairs as well, so he's going to stick up there for the time being. And again, it's something Team 1 need to make sure that they're covering off, that they're getting those drones in and getting that information so that they're aware of his position. They actually benefited from a lack of drone utilisation out of Rogue on a number of rounds of Kafe, so they need to make sure that they don't fall foul of that themselves. And for the time being, they're going to be sending drones into the big tower, make sure that the rear stage area is safe to head into. Alamau will indeed do that. Neskin, he's going to be droning down into that bottom floor. He's looking for the challenge into meeting straight away, Des. As you said, this is going to be a position that they try to hold them up in. Aces going to be under pressure soon.
They are quite split though. One's pushing down towards lobby. They have one in small tower. They've got 2 coming up through big tower. So just like back on Kafe, both teams aren't scared of splitting off and not attacking as a 4 or a 5 from one direction. They are happy to play different angles. You've got Lagonis down to the south. Neskin currently sat inside a garage and one out towards small tower. But I'm looking at that drone counter slowly dwindling down. Only 5 still remaining for Team 1, which you can see in the top left corner of your screen. The lower that gets, the more nervous you've got to be, because then it comes to Swing City and trying to find whatever kill you can.
Levy just giving himself the health boost there before going into that gunfight. Neskin just battling with Aces. Is Levi and Leon are going to trade out. Alamau gets a kill on Soprano. It was KDS that went down in the mix for Team 1, but they've come away on top, Des, from a flurry of kills. They sit 4 versus 3, and that could be a problem for Rogue, because Aces last seen out on the roam, Crying on the roam. They need to start working their way back towards site, but they might not be working through safe territory anymore, especially Crying.
Now, indeed, I mean, down to a 4 versus 3. It's a bit dicey when you're on that defensive side here to hold back. They haven't got everyone they need, and Cryan needs to make an impact. He tried so many flanks back on Kafe that was shut down, ending on 8 and 11. It wasn't a bad game for him, but definitely not as impactful as they would have hoped for. Aces currently looking to contest north side. Rips holding inside of Freezer and waiting for this push to come through. They sort of need Cryan back on site. Rips finds one back, but site control conceded entirely to Team 1. They've got the north, they've got the site, they can go for a plant, and here comes Cryan on his flank. Have they seen him? But Alimal wins the fight. Sorry, Leve actually gets him in the end, and this one will go down to a 3 versus 1, which Rips is going to really struggle to win back.
Certainly is. It's pressure being piled on now as that diffuser goes down. Lagonis manages to successfully complete the plant. He knows exactly where the last man is. He's just going to hold his angle. He's not going to push that. Absolutely no need to. Rips just trying to get anything he can, and look at this. He's just being prodded and poked from every side. There's one at pillars, one there inside a site. What a crossfire, absolute nightmare for Rips. There was nothing he could do realistically. That round was over 30 seconds before that point. That's going to be Team 1 taking a ruthless, I will call it, ruthless attack onto basement.
Yeah, it's like the side of Rogue tried to make an impact early on with the kitchen hold, for example, and Cryan being out on their own for so long up on the top floor was looking to make a big impact. But just like back on Kafe, he tries to make these late round appearances that Team 1 just seem prepared for. It's not quite the same story where a double or a triple come raining through that we've seen from some teams so far at the Major. And that first one, a very decisive first win for Team 1.
Heading into round number 2 then, it's going to be Kids, Dorms and Dorms main hall this time around, so we'll be heading up to the top floor for the Defenders Rogue, deciding that they want no more of that action, Des, after what they've just experienced down in Laundry. They're instead going to switch it up, head up to the top floor and see if they can put Team 1 to sleep for at least this round.
At least this round. They need something, right? I mean, if you're rolling through most of Oregon being able to pick up a defensive round, there's going to be a problem. And the thing is, when I say that, even to myself, I find myself catching myself and reminding myself of what we said about these two teams. Both have a sub 50% win rate on defense so far throughout the Sweden Major. On the attacking side, Rogue at 61, Team 1 up towards about 75%. They are both very good attacking teams, and whilst Kafe is notoriously been this
Don't mention Kafe. Don't mention Kafe.
That just completely breaks our story in half when we start talking about Kafe is the issue. Either way, we need to see Rogue find something on the defense here. Even if it's just 3 rounds, then they can put their own attacking prowess to use on the attacking side and see what comes off the back of it.
I feel like they do need those 3, Des. I think that figure that you've picked up there is right, because I look at Team 1 and I think getting them onto the defense of Oregon, if they can just lock down one site, if they get 4 here on attack, they just need to lock down one site and they guarantee themselves overtime, if nothing else. And I think that they are absolutely capable of doing that. So yes, for Rogue, I think 3 is going to be important. They certainly can't be facing a 5-1 half this time around. Now then, out on the roam once again, Cryan on the Jaeger. Damage going to be done. I like this. This is very aggressive from Rogue. They've got Cryan playing just outside of the bathroom corridor. They've got one in Classroom looking to get aggressive. They've got Leon downstairs as well. Team 1 maybe not recognising just at this point that site is pretty empty. They've got aces underneath as well.
I like how they've got aces covering from kitchen, so no one can push in dining and flank Cryan here, meaning all his attention is on this window and it's on the corridor itself up towards Small Tower. Leon's kind of playing what Cryan did last time round, where he's tucking into a corner and he will strike if someone doesn't know that he's there, which I guarantee you they don't. Every drone that has been sent in has been dealt with. Levy almost able to find one, running back at the bottom of White Stairs, but unable to hit his shots in time.
Cryan just conscious of potentially being pushed from Freezer there. He's actually going to drop himself down into bathroom. They've no idea, Des. Leon just getting a freebie onto KDS. The instant trade coming out, something that Team 1 have done pretty well so far today, is keep that man count level. 4 versus 4. Levy just looking to clear utility and any potential bystanders off White Stairs there, whilst the pressure is going to be put more through that double window.
You can see how it's setting up right. It's a White Stairs and big window execute. Yep. Forgetting about the normal breach, forgetting about Attic entirely. Rogue just being very passive about this.
Don't forget about Cryan though. That is the important point that they need to make sure they don't forget, Des, because he's in a perfect position. He's on a little lurk around Freezer, and if they haven't picked up on him, when they try the White Stairs element of this push, they're going to find themselves getting flanked heavily. Now then, Levy looking to just get himself in towards Attic, possibly.
They've got 2 members that have rotated away from the big window and White Stairs taken, and now looking for Armory window and Kids.
Oh!
Levy finds one through the window. A freebie onto Prano as well. Alamau traded out at the top of Armory. 3 versus 3, and Rogue have got control of the ground that one spent most of the round trying to get control of. I'm not sure this transition was the play, Ace.
I'm not sure it was. Prano did get himself caught out being a little nosy Nelly on the attic window there, Des, but he's been punished. Levy gets himself inside a sight, but Crying, he's got himself back in there from that lurk, and he's going to now look to start finding frags, and boy does he. 3 versus 2 for Rogue at the minute. 15 seconds left to go. Team 1 got to get moving. Find the first kill. Neskin onto Crying, as you see, both on white. Lagonis gets ripped. It's all falling apart again for Rogue on the defense. Lagonis is getting that diffuser down. He's going to successfully do this. No two ways about it. Ace is shut down. Somehow, this time it's Neskin and Lagonis. I said it in map 1. I'm going to say it again now. Lagonis in short-handed situations has a habit of winning.
That's one of those, again, that Rogue will look back on, akin to their 4 versus 2 on Kafe that they ended up losing. It's only a small example of it, but 1 or 2 rounds coming across the series can have a big impact. That one you look at, Rogue being incredibly fluid. You know, Team 1 moved from a west side Tate, looking towards White Stairs, looking towards Big Window, and were too fearful of Crying, so rotated over towards Attic, over towards Armory, and managed to get in through windows. They weren't even like having to breach anything, they were pushing through a laser gate at the end of a round, and they ended up Rogue with 2 players stuck on the white single doorway, which is a death sentence because you give all the site control over to Team 1. Really well played by Team 1. They're 2-0 up, and Rogue need to start finding defenses here.
Back up to that top floor for Rogue. I don't think there was necessarily too much wrong with how they started the round there, Des. I thought the first 2.5 minutes for Rogue were actually pretty good. They got themselves a couple of kills. They managed to get Crying back onto site. They felt like they had a bit of control when it was 3 versus 3, but then they just weren't able to win out those final gunfights, and Team 1 found a way. So I think Rogue probably won't try to change too much here. They're not going to get away with some of the same things, though. Leon hiding inside of showers, for example. That's not going to wash this time.
Nope.
5 seconds to go.
It took me 3 seconds, Tim.
I absolutely love that sometimes Des and I will have like little puns in the cast, and sometimes we just breeze past them, and that was one of them moments that Des was going to carry on, and then it clicked, and he was like, no, I'm not having that.
You have to give your co-caster the judgmental look of, I hate it, but fair play at the same time. Absolutely. You know who's not loving it? Rogue, down 2-0. As we've said several times over, they need to find that first defensive round. It's been eluding them so far. Here they're back up on that top floor once again. Clearly feeling they can amend the issues from last time round. Team 1 have definitely amended their attack, mind you. There's Lagonis. I'll tell you what, Leon, he's fancying a jump out here. Does Lagonis know? I don't think Lagonis knows that he's ready for this jump out. This could be a freebie. He's heard the blast come through as well from Lagonis and knows that he's there. Go for it, Leon. This is your chance for a freebie, if ever you're going to find one. Elsewhere, here comes the jump out. A free spray down onto Lagonis. As simple as 1, 2, 3 for Leon.
Leon's having a good game so far here on Oregon. Got himself the opening kill in every round up to this point, and he's really starting to put Rogue into these rounds. He's doing his bit. It just needs everything else to click into place for them as the rest of the round continues. 5 versus 4 we stand at the minute. KDS looking to make the challenge from Trophy Door there, just in time with that E1D scan as well, potentially providing a bit of information if the defenders move. Prano, he's ready, locked and loaded this time. He got caught in no man's land last time, but not this time.
He's coming up, finds one for himself as well. He's already caught one and now bats himself inside of Armory. KDS isolated inside of the bedroom here. They've got one sat outside on the big window. Again, it's a 5 versus 2. Surely, Rogue don't throw away this kind of league, Tim, but we've said it before.
I don't think they do. This is going to be a Rogue round for me. They've looked too solid. Like I said, they obviously felt confident in their defense of this site, and they thought, no, let's go back, let's do similar work, and we'll get this one over the line. And they've certainly done that. They've adapted a little bit. Prano, for example, not getting aggressive onto that attic window. They've just corrected those couple of mistakes that left them in the situation where they could be turned around. Now then, that's an easy one as Leon gets sprayed down, but the cover is there from Crying. Beautifully stepping out onto Levy, leaving KDS super low health. 1 versus 4, matter of time here.
3 of them all waiting as well. There was one at the top of White, one top of Freezer Stairs, one security. They know where KDS is. They know where he needs to come from because he needs to recover the diffuser. But he's in a spot with 30 seconds to go where he's got to kill 3, if not all 4 members of Rogue with a slither of HP. It's going to be a swing, Crying, finding the closing kill, and Rogue finally get that defensive round when they've been looking for.
Rogue start themselves off on Oregon. It's taken them 3 rounds, but they get 1. And the thing is, it's not a huge... You know, they're not facing a huge lead from Team 1 here. It's 2-1. It's absolutely fine. That was an important round to win. If that goes the other way, you start thinking, right, this is, you know, we're on the back foot now. But Team 1, they're going to be attacking onto Laundry and Supply again this time. It was an attack that they took very well last time out. They just cut Crying off on the roam. He started out in top floor around Domes and Games Room, and there was no way back for him. He just couldn't. He tried to push rear stage. They were well aware. They were already in sight by then. So Rogue need to think a little bit about their roam game here and exactly how they're going to utilise that. Aces as well played in meeting, was shut down. There just wasn't much that they really brought anywhere in the map apart from the basement level.
Well, here they're digging in with the mirror. Leon stepping across to playing on that with the Vector in hand. Keen to see if that means he stays a site player, because he has been that go-to entry player alongside Aces. But in this round, you've got Rips moving across onto the Jaeger. So maybe a little bit of a change up here where Leon will be the site player sitting along with Prano. You'll get Aces probably looking to be out on the roam, which I'm always unsure of when I see it with Mai, right? Actually asked Lycan about this, you know, what do you think about the changes coming in where Mai now gets 2 more magnets? Is he more of a site player? And he said, well, the thing is, you don't really like take Mai to be a site player. He plays, you know, the perimeter players. They'll sit on Pixel on Kafe, for example. They'll look to hold down areas of the map. The only reason why Wamai would still be alive with about 30 seconds left on the clock, which is when he gets his final Wamai disc out, is if you're already winning. So the way Lycan put it was, he helps you to win more if you're already winning. But in the case you're losing, it's basically ineffective. The round will be done, likelihood, by that point already if you're already that far behind.
And it looks like Ace is going to be taking up one of those sort of similar positions on the perimeter. Des, he's at the top of rear stage stairs at the minute, just, well, as I say the top, he's at the mid-level of rear stage stairs, looking to just challenge into rear stage for the time being. Now, Alamau's got himself straight in, could come head-to-head with Aces here. He's looking to move up aggressively, straight in, knows that the man's there. You could see the pre-fire on to the rear stage stairs, so he knows that that's where Aces has been played, and he knows that's probably sufficient to have moved him away.
Here's in the spot where they do have control of what they need. Now need to look starting to get these hatches opened up. Lagonis on the queen of hatches herself. Habana going to have that focus to charge around this ground floor and look to get everything opened up. Meeting still closed out. Neskin for now opening up a couple of rotates inside the kitchen to give them the ability to move through the map a little more fluidly. They've got full control of what they need on the first floor. Rogue digging in deep and getting ready for the assault.
That's it, and you know, coming into the round, I said, Des, that Rogue, the roam game for them last time around hadn't really been effective on this site, so I wanted them to change it up. They have done. Let's see if they can find themselves a different outcome, because there's still a lot of time to go. The Twitch drone being able to take out a couple of pieces of utility before being destroyed itself leaves us now still 5 versus 5, 1 minute 15 left to go, so we are getting towards that final stage of having to get yourself ready to execute and then move in and actually do it. Aces is just trying to hold on to Shaiko's spot for the time being. He is forced back by the utility that comes in though, so he's going to play a little bit deeper now. Crying's going to be the man staying on pillars.
They made a small mistake there in leaving E-Box closed. I thought they'd opened it up, but if it's obviously not open at this point, then they're in a spot where Aces has been able to retreat very safely from Shaiko's spot, get back into sight, and it's like, surely someone should have been watching that hatch, because you're trying to make the man on Shaiko's spot move. When he moves, you get a kill from Big Tower Stairs. You can swing him. You can play from above on E-Box, and it is opened up, but he just got away for free there, and that really could have been the first kill of the round.
Team 1 maybe just rushing a little bit into certain parts of the round. Rogue are being forced back, but they're retreating well, Des. They're giving away nothing here. Absolute freebie for Aces as Levy drops in front of him, but the kills start to rain in for Team 1. Rogue slam the brakes on though, dig the heels in and continue fighting. 3 versus 3, 15 seconds left to go. Lagonis goes for the spray down, misses. Prano on the Nitro, advantage Rogue, but leveled up once again. It's back and forth. Neskin manages to collect the diffuser. 2 versus 1 now, Des. I've no idea how Team 1 are doing it, but they continue fighting. Neskin, he's going to get this diffuser down. Can he do it? The challenge? No, he cannot. Prano gets there just in time, catches him coming off the diffuser, hits him with the shotgun, and will get the disable. And that leaves us now 2-2 on the scoreboard.
Not gonna lie, Tim, this is some scrappy siege at points. You know, Aces not being droned out, being sat on the door. There was no idea from Team 1. They have the 2 smokes come through. No one really makes any moves. It's just, it looks hesitant from Team 1 on the attack, and we can say the same about both teams' attack on Kafe. Maybe why, again, we're seeing that their attacking win rate historically has been so high. Here, now that it comes down to quarterfinals, the pressure mounting up a little bit. You're just starting to see the cracks appearing around the edges, I feel like. And even though there's a really aggressive burst in, you're doing it against a team that is exactly like you and knows this playstyle of pushing from all angles, swamp the site, get kills, thrive on confusion. Both teams are made for that style of play.
Prano 1v2 that we're just going to see him close out here. First spray down onto Lagonis.
Run.
And then just in time, we see Neskin coming off, but a fraction of a second before he can challenge onto Prano. We've seen Prano do that consistently, and he continues to do it here. There's a clutch that I remember from Stage 3, Maestro on Chalet, top floor.
Oh.
Exactly. And we've seen Prano do it a few times through the stage. He's doing it here as well. Honestly, standout performer for Rogue in the last 8 weeks.
We have this conversation a lot about supportive players who are normally IGLs. You know, Brede comes to mind here as someone who can frag out, can be the support player for the team, although he isn't necessarily their IGL. That's Alems's role. Think about Shepard on Empire. Can't really frag out, but is the IGL and, of course, plays the supportive role. Prano, I think, is in a very special place where he's not like a natural IGL from back on his old teams, back on Team Secret. He was the Zofia player. He would lurk for them an awful lot. On this role, he can frag, he plays support, and he IGLs. It is very rare you find a player that can do all 3, even amongst the greats, looking at players like Brede.
Again, aggression towards the windows, towards the map from Team 1. They've not really been wasting too much time trying to get inside. KDS just trying to be cheeky there with his drone, just jumping it up. He's going to get caught out in the
Do you remember a certain triple C4 kill that came out?
I do remember a certain triple C4 kill.
From this exact position as well?
It was his exact position.
Oh, really? Oh, imagine if it happened again. That'd be so weird.
I hope Team 1 are aware of that, because right now they're stacking men up onto this window, Des. They're just feeding it here. There's 3 of them.
Don't, boys. Please, don't make it happen again. Don't give Leon the pleasure. I know it's Crying that's holding it, but you know Leon's going to be ecstatic. He finds one with a gun. Forget about the C4. Out it comes. Freebie. Second one lands. A 5 versus 3, and the small tower hold from Rogue has proved victorious so far.
KDS's day continues to be torrid at this point, 0-5, and struggling to get himself into things here. Rogue have just found that spark on Oregon that they needed, Des, and let's remember, every round that they get here on Oregon is 1 round closer, not only to the semi-final, but to 6 invitational qualification.
It would be insane. TSM fans will mould. Crying, finding his 3rd, well not his 3rd, but the team's 3rd in the round, this time onto Alamau. And this is still a war around Small Tower. There's basically been nothing else going on because they're so obsessed with getting this cleared out. What I don't understand is you lose 1 man, forget about it. They're committing 2 members to holding it and shields and 1 my magnets and C4s. Do what you did before. Let's rotate off somewhere else and try and make the play happen. Try and push in through kitchen via meeting side, for example. But they've been a little bit obsessed with it so far. Lagonis rotating his way up through the top floor here and is being challenged. You saw that wall open up just beside him, looking in towards Pit. And Rips still holding on the top floor.
Team 1, I think it's time for a tactical timeout after this, to be honest with you, Des. I think that they need to just be taking a minute to have a chat with each other, because it's not just about the loss of the couple of rounds. It just feels like Team 1 have really lost their edge, and that is a problem. They're losing gunfights. They, like you say, they're not sort of making smart decisions, smart choices. They're not rotating, they're not moving. Rogue come in with a flawless round. I think that Team 1 just need a breather here. They need to speak to each other, and maybe they won't take the tactical timeout, maybe they will, but if ever there was time for it, surely it's now.
That, again, is one of those rounds that I look at and think we've seen Rogue do this before. They've brought a Frost along before for it, or the shields in different spots, ADSs, you name it. That is one of the ones that you look at, and I think if you studied them and understood it, you'd be like, right, they play in here really deep. And the thing is, they didn't really look like they had a plan to fight it. They were just like peeking and waiting for Rogue to peek into them, which is fair, because Rogue love peeking, right? But by the same time, they were just happy lying down, holding C4s and throwing them out for free. And by then you've lost 2, 3 members. Like, your attack into Big Tower has been weak, it's been split. Why not just rotate off and try and again attack in through meeting, do something else, and force Rogue to unsettle this defense that they've done? And we've seen so many times.
Exactly that. Coming into the final defensive round then for Rogue. They're going to be back up onto the top floor. 50-50 for them so far here on Oregon today. Played 2 rounds, only won 1, but The problem for Team One here, Des, is the round that they won was the first time that they attacked onto this site. Rogue made some changes, made some adaptations, and had a much better second defense up here. They were more site focused. Prano wasn't as aggressive into Attic. They just sort of controlled the site area particularly better than they had done the time before. So for me, Rogue are coming in here on their strength. They've done this well before. They're now likely to rinse and repeat.
Alrighty. We'll be going back on that top floor then. They are very aware of the fact that this big window has been a hot favourite of Team 1 today. ADS is stacked up on it, laser gates, holes below, ready with a shotgun inside of security if desired. A shield positioned towards it. They are adapting somewhat to the attacks that we've seen Team 1 bring, which is where, again, it's a great opportunity for Team 1 to adapt. For once, let's see you open up the walk-in wardrobe breach. Let's see you take full control of Attic, for example, and don't look at it as an afterthought that you deal with in the late round. Keep Rogue guessing, because they're now starting to realise, Rogue are, that Team 1's attacks are looking pretty predictable.
That's exactly it, and they're ready and waiting for them. They know exactly what to expect, and I think that's, as you say, why they've turned it around.
Oh, no, look, this is what I mean. Like, they know he's going to come in and push here, like, it's infuriating sometimes. Like, come on, Team 1. You're better than this, and we know you are, but little kills like that are things that you look at and think, again, you've seen Rogue already having 2 or 3 members on this defense hanging inside of shower and around dining. They had aces in kitchen last time round. It's predictable. What both teams are doing is predictable, but Rogue are the ones that are acting on that predictability. Team 1 aren't.
KDS is 0-6 deaths, and at least 4 of those deaths have been opening deaths. He's just leaving Team 1 on such a back foot right now, and you know, I never like to put it on one player. There are other mistakes coming in from Team 1 here, that much is for sure, but KDS certainly isn't assisting his team right now. You know, whatever it is, if you're taking those entry deaths, you need to pull him off the entry. You need to say, right, get on the drones. It's not working for you today. They need to come up with an alternative, because right now it's punishing them, and so are Rogue. Aces manages to find one onto Levy. This could be another flawless round for Rogue here, Des, as Prano finds Lagonis. 2 men left on the side of Team 1. It's Alamau, it's Neskin, and Team 1, Des, they look like they're crumbling.
Crumbling something special. You know, 2 entry kills as well. The one for Leon there that came in, uncontested. The one that came from Aces in Big Tower, uncontested. They didn't have a drone in dining. They didn't have one inside a shower corridor, or they could have seen what was going on in dining. They didn't have one in Big Tower. Just almost scared to take too long to do the basics and get drones out and collect information. And it stung them yet again. As it stands, we've got 50 seconds to play with. Neskin has got to pull off something magical. Rips, uncharacteristically, normally it's Crying you see coming up on the lurk, but he is also on Armory side. 2 of them pulling up behind Neskin here. This should be a freebie coming in. Yes, it is. Alamau, the last one left alive, will find Aces. It's a bit of a... Here's a consolation prize, shall we say. Now looking to work his way up wide stairs. Has got 4 members to deal with and only 30 seconds on the clock. Tim, we tend to know how these rounds go.
Well, it tends to be in the favour of the forward, as Alamau trying to do something, and it's going to have to be extra special. That's a nice first kill onto Crying, but look at the crossfire he's moving into, including a shotgun. Tries to take the peek, and that's all they were waiting for, Des. They were just waiting for confirmation of he's come through that door, and as soon as he did, Prano was going to step out with that shotgun. Beautifully worked by Rogue, nice and patient. Great defense again, 4-2 on the half, well deserved, and now they head into what we think could be their stronger half.
3-man swing at the very end as well. Good team play coming out of Rogue. I've touched on the lazy kills a lot, or the lazy deaths, sorry, I should say, coming out of Team 1. I won't touch on them too much more, because, as we saw back on Kafe, the halfway mark of a match is a massive inflection point. Things transform massively, and for all we know, Rogue could equally make as many, if not more, mistakes on their attacking side. We'll give it a few rounds before we draw any judgments about which way this game is going, but you're going to be feeling very confident off the back of that 4-round spree that Rogue just walked away with.
Still no timeout coming in from Team 1. Obviously, at the minute, just feeling that the switch in sides is sufficient. They're just going to see what happens when they get onto the defence. You know, maybe they're confident to a point whereby they're not too worried just yet. But for me, it's not just about the scoreboard, Des. It's not just about the 4 rounds in a row. It's the manner in which they've been losing those rounds.
That's it, that's it. It hasn't looked pretty. Crying, stepping across onto the Nook, something that we saw Alamau bringing along back in Kafe, sorry.
Not too unusual for Crime.
No, it's not. He will play these lurking / roaming roles. And just to clarify, there's been a lot of chats lately around, what's the difference between a roamer, what's a lurker? Roamer on the defender side, the one who gets out in the map. And of course, there are different variations of how you can roam. You can wrap, you can sit in a corner and try and strike, which we've seen Crime do a lot. Or you can just roam and hold ground and pull back to sight. A lurker tends to be the solo player on a team that will strike and make something happen in the late round whilst the attention is drawn elsewhere. You think of players like Citizen, Laxing, in this case Crying, looking to do much the same. Kind of a different sort of play style, again looking to try and get like a 2k or a 3k on a flank hit later into the round, but those are the differences. Crying will be trying to fulfill that role, I expect, in this round. We'll keep a close eye on him and see what surprises he can cause.
Multiple angles coming in here from Rogue. They've got Leon working the main entrance. Aces is already established inside of Shower Corridor. And again, something I always like to see on the Laundry defenses is those multiple angles.
What's this going right in front now? Oh, is that a drone, Ace?
A drone.
Is that a drone in front of your entry player, Aces? Nah, surely not. I mean, Rips as well is in there as well. This is, again, the team play coming in. Now, Aces has got himself really far inside of Dining. He's paused and got on the drone to let Rips and Prano catch up. They're moving forward as a team. We didn't see this from Team 1 in the first half.
But basically, Aces is going and gaining ground, and then the rest of the team are filling into that. And then Aces pushes out again, gains more ground, and they push in behind him. Up to a point where they can be confident that they're established in the map, and then they move on to the next step of getting themselves ready for the execute, which will be trying to find kills on site, using your nade utility, just trying to clear that space.
It's cover and move. Very simple military tactic that I think many have heard of. Something that Rogue have just shown excellence in. We are 90 seconds in. They're now starting to get all these hatches opened up. They've got the one in security and very shortly the one also inside of meeting. I'm never too sure about the Buck being brought along here. Like the Capital ban may be stinging against Rogue a little bit where they may have brought it. But Buck on this site especially, a Sledge and a Buck in tandem, maybe not so hot. Maybe you could look towards a Zero or something else with information to help you on the flank watch rather than a skeleton key that for all intents and purposes is pretty redundant on this site.
Yeah, there's no verticals other than the hatches which you need the hard breach for, but as you say, Zero can bring those hard breaches anyway, so maybe an alternative. But they've gone with the Buck. Maybe it's just a comfort thing for Prano, particularly liking the weapon or looking to potentially open lines of sight on site as well, at a range if there's any soft surfaces. Prano has got himself down to the bottom of the Laundry stairs, and Team 1 need to be aware here, Des, because the danger is starting to mount. There's pressure on Freezer, there's pressure on Laundry. Alamau's alert to that for the time being. Lagonis is waiting in that corner, so Team 1 are set for this. They need to win the gunfights.
It's just won the one with the diffuser as well inside of Laundry. It's big. Rips coming down with Aces as well. Lagonis is distracted. In comes Aces looking the wrong way. Might find himself going down, but Flixen finds the kill. However, the side of one, they leave no prisoners. Wipe out Rogue. A very successful defense. And hey, that's where things can start to bounce back. 4-3 to Rogue.
Team 1 desperately needed that round. It's very much the same. It's basically a mirror image almost of what we saw on Kafe.
Yeah.
This time it was 4-2 instead of 5-1, but the sides have switched and Team 1 get straight in there and get their round that's going to turn that momentum. It leaves them now within one. They're within touching distance of Rogue, who are going to be thinking, right, okay, things aren't going to be that easy on the attack for us. And the wars of the attackers continues here in this matchup. And as you said, it's a bit of a funny one because they're two of the best attacking teams that we've had coming into today. And then all of a sudden, it's the attack that they can't buy a win on.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Crying, unfortunately, off on the flank as well, not able to get anything done on the Nook, which shut down what would have been potentially a big disruptive play coming down Big Tower or the E-Box drop. However, again, what I will give to Rogue, and I know it can sound biased that I keep on talking about what they're doing right, for them, again, the setup in the actual execute was great. The drone work across the map, the clearing things out together, no blind charging in like what we saw out of KDS back in the first half. It was a lot more structured. However, on the defensive side, Team 1 do look more together. They're playing off each other and covering angles. Neskin's swing, for example, into East Laundry, into Freezer to get the kill, to cover for his teammates was good. So we can see that Team 1 have got the capability. It's going to be that kind of clash point of where does the round end? Does it come down to the execute always and how Rogue sort of struggle to get over the finish line? Can Team 1 actually get out in the map and start disrupting Rogue in the same way? Same outcome, just different approaches by both teams.
KDS going to be playing aggressively onto the master door for the time being. Doesn't have a deployable shield, something that we'll occasionally see inside a trophy there, just to try and support that player. So I'd imagine his hold is going to be pretty loose. As soon as he's challenged there, likely to dip away. I think he's just trying to see if he can get himself a cheap kill, and with only one on the board, he could certainly do with one. All it's going to take is a drone to just force him back. No, he's continuing that challenge. I thought he dipped himself away from the angle. The nade comes in, and there you go. That's going to push KDS back. Didn't take too much, but he's done his job. He's wasted a nice 40 seconds there, and he's going to relocate into near that double window.
It's good from Leon as well to take advantage of the nade going into trophy. Uses that to gain ground inside a bedroom where KDS then isn't really free to be able to swing and contest him because he's got the whole room to then play in. More spaces for KDS to have to check on the gunfight. Less chance of coming out the winner. Levy holding down hard here inside of Attic as well. Just looking to say, look, you want to come in here? We've got loads of magnets stacked up. Toss as many frag grenades as you'd like.
They didn't get the mute jammer with that nade by the looks of things, so Attic wall, yep, still going to be jammed up, so going to have to find an alternative here. They've got 2 nades left on Iana, but it may create a rotation requirement. No, they've got it sorted now, so that is problem 1 solved. They've gone underneath, opened up and got the angle instead, but still, extra time being burnt. Down to 1 minute 30 here, and we've still got Team 1 established inside of Attic, and we haven't had a kill between these two yet. It's a little bit of a standoff so far here in round 8, but the pressure is going to start mounting now as the kill comes in. KDS gets 1, but Crying onto Levy. Alamau finds Crying in a trade and a second. Team 1 are fronting up to Rogue Des. They're having absolutely none of this, but there we go. Alamau found by Prano on the window rappel. He's going to go in. He doesn't know there's a man next to him, and Lagone steps out with a big moment, rips on the trade, but in a 1v2 now, it's not going to be easy. He's got time, Des, but that's about all he's got.
Well, KDS has also got next to no HP. A single bullet will be enough to put him down, but I don't think he's aware of Neskin holding off on White. As long as one play this with a swing together, this could be highly successful for them. Neskin holding close, goes to the swing around, finds, rips his head. Team 1 bring things all even. It feels like Kafe all over again. And that map 3 is starting to feel closer and closer.
So excited at the prospect. We've got a few to do here yet. Team 1 going to be leading us into round 9, continuing their defense. They've got the first 2 rounds successfully. It's been dorms, it's been laundry. The big question now is that tertiary site. They're going to have to go to one of the off sites. It looks like the choice is going to be dining and kitchen rather than meeting. Dining, generally speaking, is more popular. Meeting was the sort of tertiary one the map first came out, but it's dipped away from there. Team 1, can they hold on to it as well as Rogue did?
Well, Rogue have had attack pause come in here, I think. Conversation about these attacking rounds because they know they can't let this keep on playing out the way it is. They need to get over the finish line. Again, it feels like in some of the rounds, the starting point is going well. They're getting themselves good map control. They're getting to where they want to be. They're dealing with the initial challenges. But as soon as it comes to the gunfights on site, that is where Team 1 just come into their own and prove themselves to be the unbreakable force that they are. So this conversation needs to get them back on track.
And it did last time around, if you remember. They had that tactical timeout, they changed a few things up. Granted, not immediately, but they ended up turning it around. It did wonders for the mental game. It was actually the round where we saw them rush into mining afterwards and really get in there and get aggressive. So, you know, we may well see the same sort of turnaround from Rogue here, where they just bring some extra aggression on this next attack.
If they can win the offsites, not forgetting that we've now done the basement, we've now done the top floor, dining is the offsite. They can win this offsite, go through another 2 rounds and find themselves forced through to 6-5 and win the offsite again, they close things out. The 4-2 perfect split, solved from what we're used to seeing in Siege over the years, is that you would win your 2 primary sites and the offsite would be the one that you go on to lose as the defender. 4-2 half, 4-2 half, overtime, and things play out from there. Let's see how this setup goes though. We've seen pretty good control from Rogue in clearing out this west side of the map and getting inside a small tower. Looking towards the same thing once again. Whether or not there's going to be a pretty aggressive play coming in will really come down to whether or not Team 1 can respond as well. They're not exactly short on the information gain. They've got the Banshees on side. They've got the Yokai drones that Lagonis can get out in the field as well. And hopefully that helps them deal with any would-be aggression coming from Rogue.
Just about to get underway. We've got the site being prepared here. Lagonis bringing along the Echo. We've not really seen too much impact from the Yokai drones today. Informationally, they did have a little bit of something to say on Kafe, but we haven't seen those moments of trying to deny those diffuser plants going down. It's probably a good call against Rogue because, as we said coming in, they are an objective-focused team. They do like to get in there, and Prano's stats through Stage 3 show that the highest planting numbers in the entire world for Prano in Stage 3. So Rogue will try and get the diffuser down if given the opportunity. Lagonis, usually the last alive, does very well in terms of survivability, so we might just start to see those Yokai drones have more of an impact.
Fingers crossed for sure. We haven't seen them really being used for the interruption in fights. And we were speaking, in plants, and we spoke about this a bit yesterday in one of our casts, actually. No, not yesterday, I think it was Wednesday. Honestly, the week's all a blur.
We've done a lot of casting.
We've done a lot of casting the last week or so, Ace. We were speaking about how we're seeing some teams using the Yokais actually to interrupt fights, and I believe it was in a rogue game, actually. Ace has got blasted by one as he swung for a gunfight and couldn't hit his shots because his aim just went all over the shop and he missed what would have been an otherwise guaranteed kill. So I'm liking that we're seeing the Yokais being used more aggressively in that way. With the changes coming in the next season, high caliber as well, you'll be able to get them outside the map for 10 seconds at a time. That'll be a lot of information being collected for aggressive jump outs and so on. Look forward to seeing how that evolves.
Already, we've got a lot of gunfire going down and a lot of aggression coming in from Rogue here. They've got themselves established in meeting. They've got themselves an opening kill. That was Aces with a nade from the top of Freezer stairs into security, and it's going well for Rogue so far. The entry that they needed, it's also Alamau that's been taken down. He's one of the talismanic players on side of Team 1 and the player that you're looking towards to get those big moments. KDS just thrown back by a nade. Will find a kill onto Neskin at the bottom of White Stairs. KDS trades it out, but Rogue just keep themselves ahead here, Des, and that tactical timeout has had a massive impact on this side once again. And as I said, they've now come in with a new focus to get that diffuser down, and that's exactly what Prano will do. 1 versus 4 now. It's all up to KDS.
2, almost 3 frag grenade kills in the round as well from Rogue. Man! Really going to the high heavens with explosives here. Only 6 on side, but again, 3 almost kills, half a 50% kill rate. You're never going to be complaining about that. KDS has got a lot to do, tries to find the man, but Rips lands the kill first, of course, onto a lower HP. KDS walks away the winner, and Rogue have done it. They have broken the spell, but Tim, it is the offsite, like I said earlier on.
Again, I'm going to go back to that timeout in Kafe and just say how similar this is that we've seen, you know, a sort of renewed Rogue on the attack come back in. They get the diffuser down straight away, really playing the objective well. Great round from Rogue. It was on the sort of quote-unquote off-site for Team 1. They're going to be going back to sites now that they've defended very, very well. But Rogue are 2 rounds away, Des. Just 2 rounds away from qualifying for 6 Invitational 2022. They can touch it at this point.
TSM are going to be cursing Team 1 if this carries on as well. It's like, all you had to do was beat Rogue. You were the chosen one. And the chosen ones, unfortunately, are slowly falling by the wayside. I really do hope, again, I will stress this, I really want this game to go to Chalet. Both teams, fantastic attacking teams. Chalet, a very attacker-favoured map. It deserves it. It deserves all 3 maps. It'd be a shame for Team 1 to go down in the history books as the team that won the Mexico Major, come the next one, got knocked out 2-0 in quarterfinals. It doesn't deserve that. It deserves at least 3.
The thing is, as I keep saying, it comes back to Team 1's performance, and if they go out like this, to me, they're going out with a whimper. You know, they're not going out fighting, they're not going out screaming and kicking. They haven't really performed to their best here so far today is the reality, and I'm sure they'll be frustrated with themselves as well. There's still an opportunity for them to show us more. You, everybody at home would love to see that final map of Chalet, Des. It'd put us on the edge of our seats, which is exactly where we want to be, but there's a couple of rounds that need to be won yet if Team 1 are going to deliver that sort of excitement for us, and I'm just not convinced that they've got it in the tank at the minute.
No, I'm not so sure either on, but let's see. Hopefully it is there. Again, they've won the first 2 sites they played. It was the downstairs and the top floor, so I'm hopeful at the very least they can get those on the board and get us up to 6. For Rogue, it's going to be a big tower take start. They've got 3 members looking to push up here. KDS, the one lurking around there, looking to collect a drone or 2 on his journeys and his travels back to site. And here, they're starting to push their way forward. KDS, the only one holding the north, and I think, was it interesting with the rotation coming off? I thought for a second they were just going to storm their way down and try and kill KDS, but a quick change away towards green may mean things are changing here.
KDS just going to hold on to Shaco's spot for the time being, watching onto rear stage. But as you say, the attention and the focus from Rogue just being moved onto the electrical hatch, and also Leon just looking to apply some pressure over by Freezer as well. So now Team One, they're doing exactly the same as they did last time around, Des. They're just playing this inside of sight. They are supremely confident of the angles that they hold and winning the gunfights. Now then, Rips absolutely getting away with that before being taken down. But that could be a big one. Taking out the ADS and allowing the challenge onto Elbow might factor later in the round.
It's going to make it a bit nervy for Team One to play there, and you might see a member of two of Rogue rotate off and look to push down there now that he's not so safe. Ideally, a grenade operator. It's currently Rips pushing down there, who's again back on the shock drones. KDS holding in Harry Potter, by the way, up towards Big Tower as one tries to step their way down. Grenade coming zinging through, but can they find anyone? No, Pillar is clear despite two nades coming in. Aces looks the wrong way. It's a slaughter! Team One butchering Rogue as they step their way through. 4 kills flying, make it a flawless round. Team One are still here to play.
Certainly are. There was a little bit of a droning mistake there. In fact, we see it on the screen bang in front of us, the Twitch drone there. Look at which way it's pointing. It never looked under the stairs. They didn't know that KDS was there, and he was a part of that moment for Team One. He was one of the 3 kills that rained in, and I feel like Rogue just maybe rushed that a little bit. It was like the drone went in, and it was almost like a call had come to Rips of like, right, we're going. And he cut off the drone and tried to push in, and it just didn't really work out for them. Team One able to secure the round. We're guaranteed to see at least 12 here, Des. Whether we'll see more than that, we did in map 1, we might in map 2. We have an uncanny knack of attracting the overtimes, and it certainly looks like we could be heading in that direction, because you know, let's see if we can think about the future for a second, Des. We've got Team One going up to Dorms. Team One won Dorms last time around. They're then going to have to go to their 3rd choice site, which they failed at last time around, and that paints a timeline for me that sees us going all the way to overtime.
You've just been rubbing your bald head and getting the crystal ball on the go again. Oh, great bald head. What do you see as the future?
Well, it's usually supposed to do. You're supposed to stand above me and you can see what you can read.
That was the thing with the meme we did for SI, right? Last year, yeah. And I was like rubbing your head, saying, "Oh, what's the future hold for us?" Oh,
I've still no idea why I let you do that.
I don't know why you let me do a lot of things, to be honest, but
Very
you do.
true.
You endure, and for that you are a real trooper, Ace. Let's see how this next round plays out. Then 11 we're stepping into up on the top floor. And that last round, you look at the crossfires being held by Team One again. I spoke about it before, that Rogue are given a lot of map control. Team One don't want to contest them out on the roam. They're saying, look, you guys get yourselves prepped. We are confident we can win when the execution comes to bear. They fell short once. I mean, really, it was a massive scrap around Zulu that went completely by the wayside for the side of Team One for the most part. When they've been on site, and that's when they've had the gunfights, that's when they've come out successful. So again, don't worry about getting up in the grills of Rogue and making them sweat a little bit. Let them come to you and do what you do best, which is hold crossfires, play for C4s, burn Rogue down once they go for... Well, in a couple of rounds, it's been quite a messy, mistimed execute, it's felt like, with different members doing different things at different times.
Neskin just got spotted out by Rips's drone in security, which has led Cryin to start holding a tight line on that door, but he doesn't want to make the challenge solo. Neskin has been able to wriggle away into kitchen. He had a rotation opened up, so he's going to try to hold on there for as long as possible, but he's getting drawn from every which way, Des, and he's getting surrounded. Prano, Cryin, Rips, they're all going in for Neskin here, and they're going to get him if this carries on. Rips is going to send a drone in once again. They know that he's inside of security right now. Neskin's days are surely numbered. He's going to have to fight his way out of here, and it's not going to be easy. Leon manages to get a kill onto Levy. Neskin pinned in, as we expected. Rips with the kill there, and Rogue are rolling.
Like a monkey in a cage with a firelit underneath. He was not getting out anytime soon. Another frag grenade kill flies through, and what concerns me the most, Tim, is this is on that top floor site. We needed Team One to win this, because otherwise, well, next round could have been them rotating out down towards Reading and Dining again. And we saw how that played out last time. Maybe they'll try a repeat of this site, I don't know. But things are going from bad to worse. Rogue on course for another flawless round. Can they make it 3 in a row to knock Team One out in quarterfinals, advance through to the semis themselves, and lock in the 6th Invitational?
They are just 1 round away, Des. Nobody expected that this was possible for Rogue back in EUL Stage 2, yet here they are. And they're not just here, Des, they are winning right now. They are heading for a potential semi-final, a guarantee of a top 4 finish.
Ooh, just one more, boys, and you know they're riding on high right now.
This is where the nerves can potentially start to kick in. The reality of the situation is in front of them. We've seen teams before struggle to clinch out games. I'm not sure that's going to be the case for Rogue, because I feel like they've come in here viewing this as a bonus. Yeah. So whilst they know what's on the line, they know that they've still got some wiggle room as well. They've got a spare map, Des.
I did wonder if Team 1 would call out a timeout. I don't believe they did back on Kafe, and I thought, you're not going to let this go all the way through to the end without calling in a timeout, right? Surely you want the conversation. And it's only now, when they are on death's door, that they choose to have this conversation. Maybe it should have come earlier when sites were going against them time and time again, I'm not sure. But they're in a position where this is do or die. They need to get it right in this round. And you've spoken about a couple of players that aren't yet delivering the way that they should be. It's not really been the standout play for a couple of members of Team 1 that we're used to, whereas looking at the other side, Aces back on map 1, absolute lights out for the team. Looking towards, Levy did the same, but second half of that map just simply didn't exist.
No, it really didn't, and it was just so well played by Rogue. We were watching it unfold there, and the pressure that came in on Neskin to start things off, the drone work, he just had absolutely nowhere to go, Des. There was no way out. The absolute best he could have hoped for would have been to take one with him, but he didn't even manage that because he was just under so much pressure. So Team 1, this is your moment. You've got to think of a different way. You've got to change things up, because right now, Rogue, they're going to be expecting the kitchen security hold. They're going to expect to have that roamer underneath, and they're going to look to deal with it in exactly the same way. So Team 1, it's time to pull out plan B.
The plan B here might be to get out around the map. You never know. I mean, it's been very, again, passive on site so far, as we said several times over now.
5 seconds left.
And maybe getting out in the map and trying to meet Rogue is the risk. It's where they lost out previously and where they've lost out before a couple of times. We'll see what the game plan is. So far, most of them sat around site. KDS inside a trophy, looking to do a little bit of time wasting. Normally matched up against Leon, as we've seen multiple times over, and I believe that's Leon on the south side again. If it is, well, you know exactly what kind of starting fight we're going to see here, Tim.
Neskin's down in security and kitchen once again. He's got Alamai working the hatch just above him, I think. He's trying to give him an exit route this time so that he can drop away and go into basement. So that's a little bit of something, at least, for Neskin to be able to do things differently here, because, again, I imagine Rogue are not just going to leave him completely out in the cold for too long. Although, for the time being, the push is largely coming in on the big tower side. It looks like they might try to just apply a bit of pressure to Attic.
Burn through one of their frags there to burn through a magnet that was inside of Kid's bedroom, which might make Lagona sweat a little bit. He is sat in the far back corner of Kid's here, and of course he's got to be very careful about any more grenades that come singing on through, not least because he's playing on the Echo, and those Yokais can be so valuable. But the side of Rogue, there's quite a split coming in. Ace is on the south side, a couple playing up towards the north, and one currently pushing into what I believe is Armory. So again, this multi-sided push is starting to get set up here. We'll see how well Team 1 can hold on once they get to the point of execution.
Last time Rogue obviously just saw the opportunity to clear Neskin out and took it, but this time, as you say, just splitting themselves up and looking to get aggressive around the map. Rips has got himself established inside a big tower now, just looking to put this pressure onto Team 1 inside of Attic. Prano able to open up the game's wall, so that's going to give access to the default plant spot inside a minute and a half, and Rogue are moving pretty nicely here. If they can tag along a kill or two with this, Des, they could be well on the way.
However, their drone count is very quickly whittling down towards 0, so they don't have a way of collecting additional information the longer this round goes on. You can lean towards Aces using the Iana Gemini, but that's not really going to be enough for you, because you need the full information and breadth of what's going on the site itself. Neskin is still playing on the downstairs and hasn't been dealt with. Rogue limited on the information gain as we enter that final 60 seconds. It's time to make something happen, and I get the feeling it's going to be a messy one, Ace.
I think it is, as you say. Neskin's been left alone this time, so he'll be able to come up that white stairs flank, and like you say, messy is exactly the word here. Des, kills just raining in, back and forward, but Rogue, they come out standing tall on top, and it's all up to Neskin to keep Team 1 not only in the game, but in the 6th Sweden Major. Rogue have got the diffuser down on the ground. This is their moment. This is the time that they can push forward into the semi-final, into the 6th Invitational, and there is the kill. Crying does the job for them. Rogue with an amazing team effort to beat the reigning major champions inside 2 maps, and Rogue have just sent a message to everybody else here in Sweden that they are here to play, they are here to win.
We knew there would be upsets abound, like there is at every major, whether it's groups, whether it's playoffs. But for Rogue, a team on which most of their players haven't been to a LAN in 2 years. Some, like Prano, never setting foot into a Tier 1 major, have come out here and beat the reigning major champions. You cannot stress enough just how big that is. I'm so excited to see what their semi-final looks like.
Not only have they done that, Des, but they've beaten them with room to spare. You know, that's the reality here. They've beaten them inside 2 maps. I expected a Rogue win to need to go to Chalet. Them turning around a win on Oregon there, do not downplay that, because it is big for Rogue, and they have really come out with an impressive performance, and I'm sure that everybody else left in this tournament is going to be standing up and taking notice of that.
The only losers here are us. We don't get to see a third map. I would have been ecstatic to see these two throw down on Chalet. It's a map they both played a ton. It would have been absolutely incredible, but the major champions are out. Rogue causing our first upset of the day, and I get a feeling that's not the only upset that's going to be waiting in store for us, as this day still has 2 more games to go. For now, though, let's throw it over to our desks and get their thoughts on what has been a very thrilling 2-map fixture.
Thank you very much, Des. We're back to the analyst desk. Des and Ace, what a match we just had. And Team 1, the major champions from Mexico, knocked out. We've had Paris Major, we had the Raleigh Major, we've had the Mexico Major, and now the Sweden Major. And we will have confirmed 4 different champions, with Rogue defeating Team 1. But Fresh, I see you moving about. There's more to it, isn't there?
They've broken the curse, Milo. They've broken the... So there's a chain of events. G2, they won the Paris Major. Where did they finish Rally? They got to the final. Second. Empire won Rally.
Exactly.
Second in Mexico. Team 1 in Mexico. Won it, but eliminated in quarterfinals. And Rogue, you saw in the preamble, Leon said, we don't think we've got a weak point. They genuinely believe that. Of course they've got weaknesses, but they genuinely believe that. They believe they can go all the way, and I actually spoke to him when we did the draw, and I said, you think we've given you a bad map, a bad opponent? We wanted Team 1. We wanted to prove we can be the best, and that's just what they did. And of course, I was trying not to jinx them, so I didn't mention it on purpose.
Exactly what.
Rogue are now qualified to the 6th Invitational.
Oh, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Some easy claps in chat for Rogue, who'll be joining 6th Invitational, but that also means a difficult moment for another NA team.
Yeah, it never stops the NA team, does it? It's been a bad event. Even TSM have had a bad event and they didn't even come. Like, obviously with Rogue qualifying, it meant that TSM didn't qualify because it goes on the invitational points across the season. Rogue have just accumulated a few more, and TSM now will have to go through the NA Open qualifier.
Exactly, and Keeney, hello.
Hello.
Back to the mental. Rogue's mentality in this game to follow it up for victory on map 2? That has to say something.
I'm extremely impressed by Rogue. Not only during the first map, they really managed to stay composed, especially after Team 1 opening very strong, and now they open strong again. They got 2 rounds in, and then Rogue swings back 4 rounds. Extremely impressive. And I gotta say, I'm a little bit disappointed by Team 1. I feel like they could have utilized a bit different picks, because if there's one thing that when you were looking at Rogue's attacks, they were very slow. There were no entry kills in the first 2 minutes, right? And then they start hitting site. There's 40 seconds left. There's 5 people on each team. And I feel like one could have played into that a lot more. I want to see more Mira. The rounds where they did run Mira, there was no chance that Rogue were going to take that side with 40 seconds left. There's 2 Miras up on the board. No chance. And I wish they would have utilized Mira more. Maybe even a Capcan, maybe more Castle, right? Or, as we talked earlier, Clash. Where was the Clash?
Yeah.
Clash would have played extremely well into this game.
Yeah, and exactly. The Mira point's a really good one. We saw, I know it's APAC North in its regular season, but we saw Sandbox Gaming, or Mantis FPS as they was known then, at the start of stage 3 in APAC North, use Mira on the Kids Dorm site, and they just sat behind the Mira windows, waited for the attack to do their thing. If Team 1 had done that on those last 2 Kids Dorms, we could be talking about overtime in a Chalet now. But I think they were a little bit naive on the defense with some of their operator picks.
Picking big window is not usually a smart things to do.
Not really, no.
No. Play, but here it is, 7-5 victory for Rogue on map 2. Oregon closes it out 2-0 total. Prano, Fresh, the person that we were kind of judging at the start of stage 3, is this really the person to bring in, is this the one that will fill the right role for Rogue? He stepped up. He's made it happen.
Yeah, and I apologized to him in EUL, and I'll apologize to him now, because me and Jess at the start of EUL, we thought Prana was potentially a bad pickup for Rogue, because we thought he's not going to fit into their playstyle. They need a true hard support IGL. But what Rogue have done is they've tried to redefine the meta, essentially, and they picked up a player who, when we've spoken to Rogue, he never stops talking. He just keeps them in check all of the time. And it's really helped them. And I said, you know, for Aces, for example, it's really allowed him to play his own game.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the first game, Aces popped off completely. It did a lot of ratty plays, but it worked out a lot for them. It's so hard that Team 1 even decided to ban that Valkyrie from them coming into Oregon. And Aces didn't drop as many kills coming into it. And he was playing Wamai as well, which I feel like is a little bit decent with his playstyle. He wants to play aggressive. Now he's on Wamai, where you want to generate value by staying alive.
Exactly.
But hey, it worked out. They got those 4 defense rounds when he was on the Wamai, and he's just an insane player.
Well, congrats to Rogue. Fresh. Keeney, how about we have a chat with our victors?
Yep.
We got Rogue on call with us. Let's go.
Hello again.
Oh, Leon!
Oh,
There he is!
oh, he's got the flag.
Yes.
Leon, congratulations on your win. French mentioned it just in the beginning, and he was saying, you know what, in that video that you made yesterday with the video team, you were saying we don't really have a weakness. Do you feel that is still the case after taking down the reigning major champions?
I mean, yeah, if we took down the reigning major champions, of course it's right.
Fair? Would you like to thank any particular creature on this earth for giving you this victory?
Yeah, you know, shout out to Bruce the cat, big up, you know, always supporting me from home. You know, got daily videos and pictures from my roommate from him, so, you know, it's keeping the motivation and the passion up.
Good to hear, good to hear. Those little cat beans, they always give everybody so much passion, so much energy for it. Well, you come into this against Team 1. It is a difficult situation regardless, and you hop into Kafe and Oregon. And I'm just trying to understand here, what was the game plan for Oregon going into it? Because this is kind of LATAM's hunting ground. They've been on it since day 1.
Yeah, well, we knew Oregon would be a map we could play. It's something we've been practicing behind the scenes since Parno joined, but we didn't want to play it in EUL or the group stage. So yeah, there's nothing much else to it. We just read what they did during the group stage and what they did during the Copa 6. And they pretty much played towards exactly how they played there. So it's pretty much a freebie for most rounds.
And how did you keep your mental up through this entire game? Because it felt like this was kind of the Rogue kryptonite in stage 2 online, and you come in here and this is looking like the best Rogue we've ever seen.
Yeah, mental's always it's a core component really of the team. And I think that also comes down to also Bernie. I was speaking to him before the game today because I was a bit anxious, and that helped me calm down a lot. And I think as well as a whole, we know as a team that people don't expect us to win, so why should we have any pressure on us to lose? Because we've got nothing to lose.
That is also something to think about. You're the defending major champions. There's a lot more pressure. How is it? We always say, you know, it's way more difficult to hold on to a crown than to just take it at the first place. And with all of this, your path to the crown is just, you're separated by a game at least to the final. So do you have any preferences as to whom you go up against in the semis?
Not really. I think we're going to beat either one of them, so it's whatever really.
Leon. Well, you know what? At the end of this, it's been a long time since we've seen you so far or so deep into a tournament. You particularly remember the IDK days at DreamHack Valencia in 2018, and here you are again on the big stage. Anything you want to say to the fans out there?
Yeah, well, you know, people talking about Rogue not getting out of groups, they forget that, you know, this team's completely different to back then, and we've also got 2 people that always make out of groups. You know, me and Meepy, 100% group stage rate, and also 100% semi-final rate at this point. So, yeah, thank you to all the fans that stick by us. Everyone at home supporting us, everyone here as well supporting us. And after 4 painful years, I finally make an invitational, so nothing to really complain about here.
Well, congratulations, Leon. Can't wait to see your performance at SI. But of course, before we get to the granddaddy of them all, you have to go through the major here. We'll see how you get through to the semis and maybe to the grand final itself. Thank you again for being here, and good luck later on.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Well, always a pleasure to speak to Leon, and he's looking very comfortable given the situation. And one thing that he mentioned is that there is really no pressure on Rogue's back when they go up against the title holders.
Yeah, I think that really helped them.
Yeah.
Having that sort of like low expectations on you really allowed them to sort of shine. And again, like we talked about in the second game, Team 1 didn't really play that well into Rogue. So I think Team 1 went into this matchup against Rogue a little bit too cocky.
Pressure does weird things to teams. You know, I've been part of a couple of teams that have dealt with... I was in a team that dealt with relegation pressure where we could beat everybody in scrims but couldn't do it in officials. And maybe Team 1 struggled from having that pressure of being the defending champions in the games that mattered. We saw them go through groups, that's fine. But once it gets to the main stage, everything changes. You know, you can see here, there's a whole stage. They're playing on a stage, facing their opponents up. And one thing that Leon said that was actually really interesting that I found is he actually reached out to Bernadette for some, or Bernie for some advice this morning, because there's a lot of players who wouldn't be the ones that reach out with the kind of mental, kind of psychological side of the game. There's a lot of players where it's forced upon them rather than them reaching out. So Rogue clearly have an acceptance. The mental is a huge part of it for them. They've got the best help available, and we're seeing, as you said, Milos, the best Rogue available.
So, our MVP for this matchup, who is it? Genuinely, I want to know who it is. So let's bring it up on the screen. I'm curious. Come on. There were so many good players in this, but Aces really shined. I want to know. Maybe
that was
it's
the first name that came to my head.
Honestly, I would be surprised if it was.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Prano, though.
It's Aces in this case, but we'll follow up on that in just a second. Aces, 28-17 on map 1. On Kafe Dostoevsky, he went 19-9. That is incredible against the major champions. Kudos and congratulations to Aces that showed us so much pizzazz, I guess, in game, especially map 1. But you say Prano potentially as well. Why is that?
I think Prano's just really helped hold the team together throughout these two maps. Like you touched a bit on it earlier, like Prano coming in, and I really think that he's helped glue this team together and really like sticking and also helping out with the mental, helping the team communicate.
And let's be fair, it's not like Prano is equivalent to Super. This is the first person that came into my head, but Super doesn't put in good statistical performances. He helps his team in other ways. Prano's helping that, but he can also shoot. We know from his Team Secret days, he can shoot, he knows how to gun, and that's Rogue playing to their strengths, and that's why, you know, it's possibly a genius move to bring him in, because they've now got a team of straight up gunners. Even Rips, we talk about, Rips does the kind of industrious side of what his team need him to do. He does a lot of the kind of SMG operators, he does a lot of droning, we saw Gridlock on Kafe, for example. He plays those roles that nobody wants to play, but when you get him in a fight, he doesn't have many fights, but when he gets in a fight, he wins nearly every of them. Like, he has such a good aim, such a good shot, and Rogue really play into that with all of their players. It's a really nice, refreshing playstyle to see.
Well, Rogue will play against the victors of NIP versus SSG, and let's update that on our bracket. You'll see it in front of you. Rogue defeating Team 1, the reigning champions from our last major, Mexico, 2-0. Incredible series that we had. And advance on to the semi, will play against the winner of NIP versus Space Station Gaming. That is our final matchup of today. But we also had Damwon Kia play Sandbox Gaming. 2 Korean teams, and one of them survived, and that was Damwon Kia. They will go up against the winner of Face Clan versus Team BDS. With Rogue's victory as well, like we mentioned at the start of this post-match desk, they are officially qualified for 6 Invitational 2022, the basically World Championship. And this is where World Champions are made. There is no other place. You're a major champion. You are not a World Champion until you win an Invitational. And incidentally, the World Champions of NIP are awaiting in that bracket, so we'll have to see how they do later. But I think it's time for us to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll break things down. So, Fresh Bikini, thank you so much. My friends, how about we take a quick rest up and then follow up with some more quarterfinals action here, live from Gävle, Sweden.